Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Racers Driving League for the opening round of season number 20, about to get underway here at the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, Australia, the Australian Grand Prix. It should be a fantastic start for hopefully being an enthralling new campaign of virtual motor racing. I'm your host, Zach RC, here to bring you through all the action of what should be an exceptional evening. And alongside me, as he was so fantastically at the end of last season, is Ben. Ben, welcome into the comments box once again, and RDL is back. Are we excited?
Oh, of course we are, yeah. Speaking of excitement, I have just downed the Sunday dinner and run upstairs, so hopefully it's a cracker.
The things we do to get ourselves prepped for an RDL race weekend. Of course, this one's a particular special race weekend in the sense that we're actually running a 100% Grand Prix to open the season. Of course, we ended off season 19 at Silverstone in the reverse grid finale. So, and obviously that was a very entertaining race. Pope took the victory there in the final race of the season just 2 weeks ago. Had the team draw since. Obviously, I believe this is your first time seeing the new pairings. I'm not sure if you watched the draw live as it went on, but it should be exciting. We've got a number of good new combos in here, and we'll see if Grumio can defend his title as he goes back to the Haas with which he won the championship back in season 18, just 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's back to the good old days for Grumio.
I feel like there's like a constant loop of teams he drives for. But Imri is out on the circuit, one of the drivers in the Kick Sauber, as he makes his way out of the last corner to begin the first lap of the season, the first flying lap of this short qualifying session before going into obviously the full-length Grand Prix. I've left my mouse on the screen again, so I will correct that quickly. Bear with me a second. I don't know why that turns on automatically, but we are back now. Thank you to Pope for letting me know of that. And going down towards turn through, carry on here with Imri's first lap. Of course, him and HB Cook in the Sauber for this new season, which should be an interesting pairing, of course, given these two have been up there contending for victories over the course of last season. Of course, HB Cook took home a victory come the end of season 19 to the win at Vegas post-Stewards Report. Imri, of course, still riding that long winless streak, so as I've been saying for a while, looking to just try and notch that off as quickly as he can and try and get himself a good start to the campaign. I mean, like I said, there's a number of strong drivers here you could make a case for in this first race. I mean, Imri's always up there contending for poles. He's just been fantastic in qualifying and obviously in the Grand Prix as of late in those reserve runs before his full-time start. But, Ben, if you had to give me an early prediction as to who's going to win this race, who would you go for?
I'm back in Pope. He ended the season off back in season 19, ended off really well, so I'm back in Pope.
Pope is Ben's pick for this evening. Of course, Pope is in the Williams for this season alongside Che. Of course, Che was thought to potentially be leaving the league towards the end of the campaign last time around, but has stayed with us, fortunately, as Imri goes fastest, 1 minute 15.257. It'd be good for Imri to have a teammate alongside him for the entirety of the campaign. We'll see what he can do with HB Cook in the Constructors' Championship. But, of course, Pope and Che could also be contenders up there. You look at Dan Obsessed, who could potentially be the dark horse over the course of the campaign. Of course, Che and Dan having won the Constructors' title last season with the car on your screen. That is the Haas being driven by Grumio and AT this season, as the number 11 makes his way across the line to begin the start of what could potentially be an 11th RDL Championship. Of course, took his 10th title at the end of last season. Or I say the end of last season, it was quite a few rounds to go, Ben, as we saw 16 wins from 24 rounds. He was dominant last campaign, but it's always been said to me, right, that the second season on a game is much more competitive and a lot closer than the first. So we'll see in terms of whether that theory is true or not.
Yeah, of course. Grumio dominated last season, so we'll see if anyone can bring the fight over to him this season.
Of course, new teammate pairing. Of course, last time around he was with JB in the Williams. Those guys came home second in the Constructors' Championship. Williams, I say, with a good shout to try and go for it again, as I say, of Pope and Che behind the wheel. Of course, other lineups around, Courtney Goblin and debutant Rydog in the Ferrari. Our only full-time debutant for this season in terms of drivers who have never started in the RDL. It should be exciting to see how he gets on. There was good talk about him prior to this first race, especially during his test and during pre-season testing itself last week in Bahrain. So I'm excited to see how Ferrari gets on with Rydog behind the wheel. We'll see how his debut goes around. I mean, Ben, obviously, it wasn't too long ago that you had your first race in the RDL. What was the preparation for that like? And was there anything you did in particular to sort of prep yourself for for those first few races where you're trying to learn the league?
Yeah, I think the first couple of races here and there were just me trying to adapt to everybody's playstyle, how they push things, everything like that. And then once you get going, you can't stop going. You just carry on. So yeah, we were like one of them.
Sort of found what worked for you quite nicely. Obviously, at certain times in the in your I say short drive career. You were with us at Bandle for what, 2-3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, about I think it was just short of 3. So yeah, first season it's mainly just getting to grips with it. Towards the latter end of the first season, felt pretty well. Obviously, we had Portugal, so got a podium there, and then well, let's just say it could have gone a bit better as the season has progressed. But hell.
We'll keep an eye out on, of course, one of the cars you drove last season. This is 10th Cannon in the RB I've got on my screen. She's alongside JB for this campaign. Of course, JB coming off of that runner-up run in the Constructors last season. As I keep saying, there's a number of interesting lineups here that could really pack a surprise, pack a punch over the course of the campaign. I'm hoping that the distribution in terms of points this season is a bit more widespread compared to last season. Because as we saw towards the sort of second half, the end of the last campaign, there were quite a few drivers who are like looking at 100 points, 100 points plus, and then from there you'd be looking at drivers who sort of struggle to score 25 or 30 points over the course of the year. So hopefully we'll see a bit more variation there as 10th Cannon goes 7th fastest. It's still Imri fastest right now, of course. There's only a short qualifying session, and we've got a full grid in the house for tonight's race. No reserves in the running, so it's always good, Ben, to have 20 cars to start the season and everyone with an even chance at scoring those first few points on offer.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. You want to start off the season really well.
Without a doubt. 11 cars come through in set time so far. Slowest so far being Ride Dog in that Ferrari. Of course, we'll see how he adapts to the level of competition there is in this league. Because obviously, as we both know from both watching and obviously in your case from driving it, the league is quite jam-packed in terms of the intensity and how close a lot of drivers are to each other. Especially saw that lead pack where you never really know who's going to come out on top week to week. Grumio obviously came away with the win a lot of the times, but he had to fight for it more often than not over the course of last season. So we'll see in terms of what everyone else has got. Of course, AT was with Landlord in the McLaren last season, the first race without Landlord as a full-time driver in quite a while. So obviously, hopefully he's doing well in his RDL retirement. But AT coming in, teammate now to Grumio. Those two have worked well together in previous years. Of course, we've always seen them do the toe tandem in qualifying in the past, despite being on different teams. So it's good to see those guys joining forces this time. It should be interesting to see whether they can perhaps fight for the Constructors. Do you think they can win the Constructors, Ben? Sort of from an early prediction, if you put Grumio and AT together, is that a threatening team to you?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. Without a doubt, I think Grumio and the likes of Grumio, AT, and then obviously I expect Kit Sauer to be up there as well. Williams on the day will be there or thereabouts, so I'm sure it's going to be tight, and as the season goes on, we'll get a better picture of it.
We'll definitely keep an eye on things in terms of those first couple of races. There's still 11 cars coming through set times, but of the 9 drivers remaining, 7 of them are currently out on circuit. The only 2 that aren't are Courtney Goblin and Alvar. Those 2 in the Ferrari and McLaren, respectively. Ericsson and Alvar were forming the all-Swedish lineup in the McLaren this season as JB rounds the final corner, charges up towards the line to complete his effort. He's actually invalidated. He actually has lap deleted, but 125.461 obviously quite off the pace. So we'll see what JB can conjure up in his second attempt at a run here. Of course, qualifying crucial for these longer races. Perhaps not as crucial in terms of starting spot, because obviously you've got a long time to work your way up through the field, as we saw over the course of last season's reverse grid finale. Of course, there goes JB around, sliding the car out of turn number 4. He had to wait for the McLaren to come through in order for him to get that thing righted, just to try and avoid running into Ericsson who's also on his run. Ericsson there in P6 doing a fantastic job so far. So a great first lap on the board for the McLarens. Courtney Goblin, Alvar gets set a lap time. JB obviously out on circuit. We're still waiting on Websy, Ethan, Courtney, DJ, Alvar, JB, Che and Dan. Che and Dan, that'll be an interesting lap to see how they do in their respective teams. Of course, teammates the last 2 seasons, not anymore. So we'll see what they can do, especially being driving for separate factions this season. But obviously, both of them yet set a lap time. But Che is coming through the last sector now. So let's keep an eye on Che, Ben. We'll see. Oh, no, he's invalidated this lap. He's gone wide there. He's gone wide exit at turn 10, but also cut turn 9. So we'll have to re-rack him and go back around again and see how he does. Dan is on the lap, though. He's 26.3 in his first sector. We'll get an idea of his second split now. 43.2. Now, I haven't seen Imri's time, so I'm not entirely sure as to what the best split is thus far, but it looks like a good lap so far. And if we know Dan, then most likely we're looking at a potential charge towards pole position.
Yeah, Dan's a tenth of Imri, ahead of Imri, should I say, going for the second sector. So I think Dan could be right up there.
Last few corners then for Daniel Aram, runner-up in the... but slide there, as we saw there, Ben. But Dan, runner-up in the championship last season, charging up towards the line. Who hopes not to be runner-up in this qualifying session, but towards the line, it's P3 for him. So sitting there behind Grumio, who himself finds himself about just under 2 tenths off of Imri so far. Pope in 4th, AT P5. So it's sort of regular drivers we come to expect in the top 5 thus far. There's Curtis, Ericsson, TJ, 10th, and Obsessed behind. Obsessed making his full-time return to the RDL, of course, after running the first couple of races last season and then sitting out the remainder of the campaign. But it's good to see him back, and hopefully we'll see what he can do behind the wheel. I'll keep looking at HB Cook's kicks out. He's running one of the special liveries. I keep thinking there's some wrong with my game, but that's just how the front of the car is designed. But he's going on to his next lap now. His best time so far being a 1 minute 16.7. So we'll see what he can do on his second run. But I think we'll be looking for more this season. Ben, after, of course, by taking that win last season, having a strong end to the campaign, was up there with the front runners. I think we should see a bit more out of him this time around.
Yeah, fingers crossed, hopefully so. Obviously, the further up, better for Kick Sauber, and we'll see what that plays in the at least constructor standings. But who knows, maybe it could be up there this season.
I think we're looking at potential dark horses for Imri and HB Cook, but they'll need a strong start to the season or to try and compete with the more established teams like those lineups at Haas, at Williams, for example. It should be, but no, it should be interesting. We'll get a sense of it in the first couple of races. We've got 6 minutes to go now. Still 5 cars yet to come through in set times. 4 of whom are out on circuit. Cottney Goodman, as we've all seen in the past, staying in the pit lane for now. But out here comes Alvar in the last couple of corners. Of course, his teammate up there in P8, that's Ericsson. We'll see what Alvar can do. Can he try and match his new teammate in this first qualifying session? He's got a good chance as he charges towards the line to complete his first lap. It's a 1 minute 16.2, puts him in front by 3 tenths, or just over 3 tenths over his teammate. So a good start then for the McLarens, and we'll see if they can try and carry that pace into the Grand Prix. But obviously, it's a long race. These 100% Grand Prix are particularly taxing on a number of drivers who perhaps would be a lot stronger at half distance. So it'll be interesting to see who's got that mental endurance, as we saw over the course of last season's races. But I mean, I'd say, obviously, we've had these 100% races for a couple of seasons now, Ben. Would you say they've been a welcome addition in terms of that new challenge to the drivers?
100%. It puts a lot more. Dare I say it, because I didn't really have that many great 100% races when I was driving anyway, but it is harder to keep your concentration over a longer period of time, so we may start to see slip-ups here and then, God knows.
So it's been a bit of a change in terms of the way the 100% races are done this season. Normally, we'd normally do them every 4 rounds and always change things up. The executives over at the RDL have decided to make it this first round in Australia and every 4 rounds from there. And obviously, we're going to be on this game for a little while, Ben. Of course, we saw the news at the end of last season that there will be no F126. We couldn't go the stream without mentioning that. Obviously, we're going to get a 2026 season expansion on the F125 game, which will give us the new cars and teams. So we'll still get our 22 drivers, Audi and Cadillac, joining the grid next season. But obviously, a long way to go. It's still got about another 5-6 months until we reach that stage. So we'll enjoy these 2025 cars while we've still got them. And obviously, in the real life 2025 season, we've still got a 3-ride title decider in Abu Dhabi this coming Sunday. Off topic, but I will ask you, is there a particular driver you're backing to win the championship on Sunday? Oh, Che fastest.
Oh, I don't know. Max is always there. So is Lando. Lando's been having a really good second half of the season. Piastri is still theoretically there, but I think he's more out of it, to be fair. I'd like to back Lando, but you can just never discount Max.
And you never really know what McLaren will do on the pit wall either. But in terms of what's going on over here, Che's gone fastest by just over 200ths of a second over Imri, so it's still remarkably close up front. And Imri's still got time to go for another lap should he need it. But I mean, the front row start is still fantastic. But if I know Imri, he's going to want to try and push for pole position, try and get his qualifying record off to the best start he can. Obviously, Grumio, most poles last season, I think with 10, but Imri was very close behind. And definitely a threat for pole position almost every week.
Yeah, Imri was always there as Curtis has gone slightly wide through turn 10. And there's him rather his lap. It was a shame really for Curtis because he was a 10th or 2 up.
Curtis in the Red Bull this season, yeah, so you see him a 10th up as he went into turns 9 and 10 into that chicane. Obviously, tough to get right at the best of times. But he makes his way through the last couple of corners. He's got 3 minutes to go, so still enough time for him to go for another run. And speaking of other runs, I believe we're about to see Imri out on the circuit. Yes, here he goes. So currently in second place. The top 4 all out on the track, but the highest driver who's not on the track is Pope, running in 5th place right now. JB there in P9, looking good in the top 10 in his first race for RB. It should be interesting to see. Obviously, I do still love that V-carb livery on the car. I think it's possibly my favourite one on the grid, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's right over there with mine as well. I like the Ferrari from time to time. McLaren's not too bad, so yeah, it's right up there.
And we've got at least one more season of running we have got one more season of running these cars. So as I say, we'll enjoy them while we've still got them. Obviously, we never know what will get cooked up in terms of what the graphic designers have in mind for next year's deliveries on the brand new cars. But we'll leave that for now, and we'll focus on what we do have right now. Obsessed there in P10, 1 minute 16.3 on the board, 7 tenths down in his first sector. So likely to back off and go again on another lap in just a few moments' time. But we've got just over 2 minutes left, so we're looking here, or just under 2 minutes left now. We're looking at what will likely be final runs. And the majority of cars are out on circuit. Courtney Goblin is on the racetrack for the first time this season. Only car yet to set a lap time in this session, so we'll see where he puts himself on the board. But it looks as though right now, surprisingly, it's Websy and DJ for Aston Martin at the bottom of the table, as Curtis calls it quits in the pit lane. Concerning then for Alpine, Ferrari, and for Aston Martin, as they currently inherit the bottom 6 spots.
Yeah, I think Websy and CJ definitely have pace in them, as JB is now also retires. However, I think JB may have crashed, and indeed he has.
Oh.
JB's crashed on the exit of turn 10. I wonder if he got on the blade of grass and just lost the car.
I think I may have just I think about maybe looking at 10th Cannon, who's I've just seen recovering her RB from that same spot. But I think JB's called it quits in the pit lane, as far as I'm aware. I think because I still see one more RB icon in the pit lane, so I think that we're just getting two drivers mixed up, you and I. So we'll carry on.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there. But one bull from each team currently out of it, as 10th Cannon returns her bull back to the stable for the minutes cap of qualifying. 14th place for her at best right now. We are looking here at final laps in the last sort of 30 seconds or so of qualifying. 10th also retiring from the session here. And we've got our eyes on Imri, who currently sits in that second spot. Che is out on circuit right behind the Kick Sauber, so we'll see whether he's got anything up his sleeve for his last run. But here we go now. You can also see Grumio going through the last corner. He said his lap deleted. So I have to get back round to the line here and go for one last lap to try and set the first pole of the season. Imri goes fastest, 1:14.9 on the board. Big gains there, and Che has got work to do now on this last lap to try and get himself back on pole. As you see a car off onto the grass there, Imri has called it quits on a running, obviously trying to get out of Che's way. But both Grumio and Che now have 1 lap to try and get themselves back on pole. So checker flag has now fallen. Next car to the line will be one of the Ferraris. That will be Ride Dog up towards the line. Ride Dog goes up to P16. Kurt Cottney in behind him and his lap deleted. Cassay's in P19 himself. Aston Martin through the last corner. That is DJ, currently last right now. Up a quarter of a second out of Sector 2. And it's P6 for DJ. Over the line. What a big gain in that last sector. McLaren towards the line. That'll be Ericsson crossing the line. P11 for him. Next car through. Grumio's out. He's retired it. PJ P14. He hasn't crashed the car. The car is still being controlled by AI, so he's all good. And next car through, HB Cook just went P6 there, so moves DJ down a spot. Next car through one of the Williams cars. That's Pope towards the line. He goes into 4th place. Next car through will be TJ. TJ into 6th place himself. What gains being made here in the closing moments of this qualifying session. Dan's on the grass. Dan has called it quits, I think, on this last lap. Where is Che? Che's in the last corner. He's up by a 10th, leaving Sector 2. Towards the line, can he put the car on pole? He cannot put the car on pole by 200th of a second. It is Imri on pole position for Kick Sauber for the first race of the season, but Che right on his tail. Grumio 3rd, Pope 4th, and Dan closes at your top 5. What an end to qualifying, Ben, and what prospects we have for the race ahead.
That is Track Evolution with capital T.
Oh.
That was mental towards the end. That last minute, all of a sudden, obviously, we had TJ temporarily go up. CJ, temporarily go up into P6 from all the way down, and then I think HP Cook jumped him, and then TJ were in there. It all of a sudden was ramped up.
Very, very enjoyable stuff there at the end of qualifying. You saw both Websy and DJ did actually recover themselves. There is your top 10. Imri on pole for the first time this season. Che 2nd, Grumio 3rd, Pope in 4th, Dan 5th, AT, then TJ, HB Cook, DJ and Websy around at your top 10. Aston Martin saving themselves towards the end there. Alvar, JB, Ericsson, Obsessed, Curtis makes up 11th to 15th. And the back 5 rows back 3 row, sorry. PJ, 10th, Ethan, Rydog, and Courtney Goblin. So Ferrari take up the back row. And that'll do it then for qualifying. And we'll be back with you shortly in a matter of moments here for the start of the Grand Prix. And after the short intermission here, we're back in a moment or two for the start of the Australian Grand Prix, round 1 of season 20 of the Racers Driving League. I'm your host, Zach RC. Alongside me is Ben once again, and we're here to take you through 58 laps of the Albert Park circuit. The first time the RDL is hosting a 100% Grand Prix length race as the opening round. Am I even on the... My thing is working, isn't it? Okay, no, it is working. I just couldn't see the my mic. Never mind. Yeah, 14 corners, Ben. It should be an exciting race around Albert Park, as it always is. Chaos may well ensue, but we obviously, as you've come to learn in the commentary box, we relish the chaos that goes on track.
100%, yeah. I just remember last season when I think a car, it may have been 80, ended up glitched, and then I had a puncture and took JB out with me, so whether it would be red flag within the first lap or so. So I wonder if we get a repeat of that.
Do you know what? I completely forgot about you were one of the ones involved in that first lap. But is it possible to
yeah, the less said about that, the better.
I've had someone in the chat ask you, is it possible to whack a 5 or on point win? I mean, you can't bet, unfortunately, on the RDR. I don't think the bookies will allow it. But obviously feel free to make a donation in the chat. I can't guarantee that I can get you winning should Pope win the race, but we'll move past that. Focus is on bringing you guys free RDL content on this channel. But we are moments away now from the start of the formation lap. It should be a very exciting 58 laps. And as always, we are here to bring you all the action of what should be a very, very exciting season of racing indeed. Just waiting now on the last few drivers to get their setups confirmed and get the race underway. And we'll take you through the starting grid from back to front. It should be a fantastic encounter. And we'll see who claims the first 25 points of the season. Ben, is your money still on Pope to win this race? Because obviously you made your pick earlier.
Yeah, I did. I guess we'll find out as the Grand Prix progresses on, but only time will tell. I'm not quite certain in all honesty now.
That's to wait and see. Formation lap is underway. In terms of starting tyres, 16 drivers on the medium tyres, 3 on the hards and 1 on the softs. Let's take you through your grid from the back. Courtney Goblin and Rydog making his debut in the RDL. Ferrari take on the back row of the grid here in Australia. Ethan lines up in P18 for Alpine. Again, the medium tyre start. 10th lines up P17 for RB. First race for her new team. Obviously, like everyone else on the starting grid, save for a few drivers obviously driven for teams in the past. PJ P16, not fantastic qualifying for Alpine, but of course we've seen that combination working from time to time. We'll see how they get on, or time and time again rather. We'll see how they get on over the course of the Grand Prix. Curtis is your lone starter on soft tyres. He lines up P15 for Red Bull. Obsessed P14 making his return as a full-time driver to the league after almost a season away. Ericsson P13, of course, one of the 2 all-Swedish lineup drivers in that McLaren. JB P12 looking for a better season this time round as he tries to chase a constructor's run with 10th in the RB. Alvar lines up in P11, first car outside of the top 10. Again, medium tyres on that papaya machine. He's running them a special chrome McLaren livery. Webbsy and DJ make up row 5. Those guys together in the Aston Martin this season, and both of them on hard tyres for the start. So expect a different strategy out of those guys. HB Cook lines up P8, of course, won a race last season. Want to try and add to his tally this campaign and try and push with Imri for a constructor's run themselves. TJ P7, of course, fantastic reserve appearances for him over the course of last season. ATP6, finally joining forces with Grumio with Lando out of the picture. Dan in P5, runner-up in the championship. Can he go one better this season? Pope in P4, of course, won the last race as a reversed full-length Grand Prix, sorry. Grumio, your reigning champion, lands in P3, and on the front row, separated by 200s in qualifying, it's Che and Imri on pole for Kick Sauber. Ben, what a race we have in prospect here. 58 laps. I'm excited to get it on.
Yep, fingers crossed we're in for an absolute belter.
Belter with a capital B, I think is one way of putting it. Expect no quarter to be given on this first lap. We've seen how chaotic these races can be in the past. Imri is sort of aiming across Che from what I can see here. So we'll see how they handle their start. But a new season of races driving the action on the verge of getting underway here. As we wait now for those 5 red lights for the opening round of Season 20 here in Australia. And for the first time in Season 20, it's lights out, foot to the floor, and we are racing. Solid start from both the 2 cars on the front row. Che jumps in front of Imri on the run towards that first corner. Che with his nose in front, clears the Sauber into the first corner. Everyone keeping it nice and clean. Several cars onto the grass. TJ onto the grass. I see Ride Dog on the grass as well, making up places though as they charge up towards turn 3 for the first time. Imri challenging Che, going towards that third corner. Che wins out on the inside. Imri trying to switch back. Grumio trying to pick up the pieces. Dan behind them in P4. Then side by side between Pope and AT, going through turn number 5 and through turn 5 now. Pope wins out. AT and HP Cook, TJ and the 2 Aston Martins, Websy, and it was DJ, but Alvar now into the top 10, and the Aston Martin jumping back quickly here, Ben.
Yeah, I think DJ may have picked up some from wing damage. He's hit the wall quite heavily. We're going side by side with the McLaren, and as a result, hit the wall and has lost his front left end plate.
End plate damage on the first lap. Not a fantastic start to the new season for a DJ. We'll see if he can try and recover that as he fends off JB going into turn 9 for the first time. 10th making a pass on Ericsson in that McLaren as Courtney Goblin brings up the rear. Che leading, but Grumio being challenged by Dan for that third spot. You see these 2 old rivals go toe-to-toe. Once again, no quarter given, none asked on this first lap. Che leads away. A fantastic start over Imri, and he'll come through and to lead the first of what could be many laps over the course of this season as he makes his way out of turn number 14 for the first time. But Imri right on his tail here, all single file as we complete the first lap of the RDL season.
Yeah, they've kept it really nice and clean, so sets it up for a great 57 laps as Ericsson's into the pits.
First pit stop of the season here for McLaren being made. Hard tyres going onto that machine, and no wing. So there's a wing change being made for Ericsson, so he also picked up damage on that first lap. So I have to keep an eye on him, see if we can try and recover that over the course of the next 57 laps. Crucially, DJ stayed out, obviously, on having had that damage on the first lap. He's going to try and run it as best he can in the meantime. HP Cook making gains here, up 2 places in these first couple of laps. He's made his way around 80 for that 6th spot. It's about 1.2 seconds to Pope in front. The top 5 have pulled away early on here, and DRS in play for the first time this season here on lap 2, charging up towards turn 9 for the second time. Imri looking for a good run on the Che. He's closing in and actually go for a move to the outside, and get enough for a run. Runs into the outside wall. They're lucky to avoid damage to that end plate. Keeps it on the race car, but DRS again from here with a good corner exit. He can try and take the lead back for the first time, going up towards turn number 11. That very tight braking zone, the tight right-hander. Not a bit of it. Che holds on to the lead for now. Grumio still in 3rd place. Dan and then Pope, your top 5. 18 now back around HP Cook, but tries to switch back on the inside there. The Sauber versus Haas on the run in towards turn 12. Can't quite do it. AT maintains his spot, but keep an eye on HP Cook. Going to try and fight back. TJ behind them. Websy P9 and Alvar still holding on to that last points paying place as Che brings them around for the second time. Top 5 pulling away here, Ben. We've got an early lead pack in this race.
Yeah, what we may start to notice as the race involves is that the top 5 do continuously keep breaking away. As a result of that, I think everyone downwards is going to be in a DRS trade.
And that train being led right now by AT, the caboose of which currently being sat as, I believe that's Rydog in the Ferrari. Actually, that'll be 10th Canada as those 2 go side by side for the 17th spot further back in the order. Rydog is a bit wide there out of turn 3, but keeps his line and has the inside obviously for turn 4. So 10th Canada falls behind once again. Courtney Goblin almost 2 seconds back on those hard tyres. Of course, Ericsson by himself there in P20. After such a good qualifying for the McLaren, just tough to see him down the order this early on. But we'll hopefully see him try and recover and nab some points at the end of the Grand Prix. But Imri again working on closing on Che. You want to be a bit more cautious this time, given how lucky he was, I'd say, in terms of receiving no damage from the contact to the outside wall. It looked a lot more violent from my end, perhaps compared to his, but we'll keep on as we are. Grumio closing in on Imri, though. They're going to move to the inside. That goes the reigning champion, looking for the spot into turn number 11. It's tight between them. Imri's got the better line, got the better drive off, but Grumio has the inside line going into turn 12, and Imri has to cede that one. So the pole sits down 2 places here in the first 3 laps, and we'll try and recover that as soon as we can. We see him lock up there going into turn 13, but in that, though, Che pulling away by 6/10 here, Ben, looking at an early advantage. But further back from that, I'm seeing Curtis making a move to take the last point away from Alvar, and JV not too far behind those guys either.
Yeah, 100%. So I wonder if Imri's starting to struggle. Well, or should I say, struggle with warming up his tyres on the formation lap. He had to wait there for quite some time, as we're now seeing a fight between 80 and HP Cook, and Cook goes right the way around that side of turn 2, and what a move it were.
DRS to his advantage as well as he wheels that Sauber once again back into the 6th spot, but can't quite shake the rest of the train there. AT obviously he's been going back and forth with him these first couple of laps. TJ's behind them waiting to try and pick up any sort of scraps he can, and don't count out Websy or Curtis in behind too. Of course, Curtis on those soft tyres will want to try and charge through the order as quickly as he can before what I'm guessing will be quite a quite a short first stint on those tyres. I can't imagine those things going for too long. As you see Dan trying to challenge Imrie on the outside, contact between the pair of them. Imrie was sort of squeezing down into the wall a little bit there, but it didn't see him coming until it was too late. But DRS there in play for both cars. Imrie is struggling here. He took pole, but finds himself under a lot more pressure on this race start as Grumio starts hunting down Che for the race lead. We could be seeing a lead change. You could be seeing a familiar sight shortly, Ben, in Grumio leading a Grand Prix. And it's been 2 weeks since we last seen that, and I haven't missed it.
I don't blame you, to be honest with you, Zach. It's there's now still someone out there other than Grubio leading, but Grubio is looking rapid along with the likes of Dan and Che. Don't know really what's happening, as I'm starting to see a bit of weaving between from Imrie, should I say, as Imrie picks up his serious 3-second penalty. Oh, that is a disaster of a start for Imrie.
First penalty of the season administered to Imrie, and all of a sudden you get two of them at once. JB with a penalty of his own there, running in the 12th spot for RB as he makes his way down towards turn 3 for the 5th time in this Grand Prix. We're on lap 5 of this Australian Grand Prix. Chaos has broken out in the early couple of laps. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome along to the stream. I hope you're looking forward to sticking around for the remainder of the Grand Prix. But the top 5 have pulled away here. But Imrie, as I say, with that penalty, will have his job to be a lot harder because obviously you can't shake those 3-second ones for track limits. A 10-second one you can serve in the pit lane and have that out of the way for the rest of the Grand Prix. But not in this case. You're going to have to carry that for the remainder of the Grand Prix. And it's a long way to go, so plenty of window to get more penalties. But he'll be hoping that the cars around him can also do the same thing as Che continues to lead Grumio, and AT makes the pass on HP Cook. Websy now passing TJ as well, so move the Aston Martin driver into the 8th spot. Can TJ try and come back at him? He's got a good exit out of turn number 10 going towards 11, but not close to go for a move, I don't think. Websy also with DRS obviously being part of that train. Websy holds on to 8th place in those hard tyres. TJ in behind him, but both Red Bulls obviously they're in the top 10, so solid start to the race for those guys, and we'll see if they can try and advance any further.
100%, as we're just watching him move through the penultimate corner, lost the rear slightly, so I don't know if he's struggling with overheating the rear tyres, which is very easy to do around here. He is on the medium compound tyre, he is going to have to stay that distance, or those tyres, for quite a number of laps, unless he's gone harder on the allocation. Imrie also struggling with ERS as well.
Imrie got about a fifth of his tank of battery left, whereas the cars around have all got about half theirs, if not more, left in the tank. So Imrie's ERS management, I think, currently kicking him in the teeth a little bit as he can't quite move up to try and challenge Che and Grumio for the race lead. These two running almost nose to tail, as we've seen many times in the past between these two fantastic drivers. Che leads the way, but Grumio may well get DRS on the run towards turn 9. He has got DRS without doubt, but whether he can go for a move or not remains to be seen. There he goes, the inside the champion, looking for it here into turn 9, goes over the curb, but takes the lead away, and Che has no DRS to apply with, so move Grumio up into the lead for the first time today, but Slipstream's in play there on the run towards turn 11. Che can't quite make a move in there, but Grumio now finds himself in front for the first time this season on lap number 6.
Yeah, well, it's been a while since we've seen Grumio on the lead. Obviously, Silverstone towards the dying enders of the race, when unfortunately, obviously, of course, lost it due to tyres. It turned out the Inters is I've just seen Imrie just tap the wall with his right rear tyre, left rear tyre, sorry.
And it's down to P4 as well, because in all that chaos, Dan made the move, and Imrie's got damage there as well.
Imrie and plate damage, so I wonder if he did tap the wall on the final corner. Instead, it must have been his front wing.
And that makes life a little bit more difficult then for our Pulsar as he rounds turn 3 right behind Dan there, who looks to try and challenge Che and Grumio up front. Pope behind these guys, falling back a little bit. He was almost out of DRS range at one stage a few corners ago, but it's brought him back again. I think Imrie will help him to try and bridge that gap a little bit in terms of him probably falling back a bit as well from Dan. So he'll need that end plate, and he'll need that front wing to keep intact on what is quite a difficult circuit to navigate the best of times, let alone with damage on the car. But Grumio still leads Che, but whether Che will come back at him perhaps out of turn 10 towards 11, we'll see here. He needs a good enough exit as they leave the chicane. Hasn't got had a fantastic run relative to what Grumio's done, so will likely maintain, hold on to P2 for now, unless he goes for Ascend, which I doubt he will. Che a lot smarter than that, as we've seen many times in the past. Che holds on to second place. Grumio still leads. Further back from that, we'll look once again towards the second train, as it were. AT still leads HB Cook. Those two still running 1 and 2 in this tandem. Webb's in behind these guys. Can't quite make a move on those medium tyres. TJ and Curtis in behind. Alvar obviously out to the points again. JB still P12, but these guys mostly unchanged at the minute. So we'll see if there's any change over the course of the Grand Prix to come, as 10th Cannon seems to be falling off the end of the train. Ryder currently bringing up the rear of that pack in that front. 10th, then Cottony obviously falling back, and Ericsson is still 18.5 behind thanks to that first pit stop. He's the only car to have come into the pit lane. Yes, he is. So we'll see if that changes later on. But Grumio still leads Che up front. And I mean, I can't imagine being too long, Ben, before we start looking at those first pit stops. But we said before the race starts, likely looking at a 2-stop in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, likely 2-stop. The medium tyres just don't really hold up well around here. The hards are better, albeit they're still not great, as CJ and Obsessed have just had a pretty good battle for the first third of the lap.
And Chase should come back around the outside of Grumio to take the lead there on lap number 8. And Dan may come in to try and attack. I thought he was going to go for it for a second, but not quite close enough. Grumio might use a bit of battery to try and get himself back alongside Che, but can't do it. So another lead change then. Move Che back in front. It's the top 3 train here. Both Imri and Pope have fallen off the tail end of the leaders. So that'll be tough for them. Those guys now sort of stuck in no man's land, left to try and fight each other over the course of this Grand Prix. Imri's going to need that DRS back to give himself a real chance in this Grand Prix, given the fact that he's obviously got that penalty to think about, as well as Grumio hassling Che there out of the last corner. DRS in play on the run towards turn 1. No battery in use for Grumio, but battery in use for Che to try and stave off the threat of Grumio for as long as he can. But of course, DRS in play again, going down towards turn 3. It's very similar to sort of Austria in that sense. You get DRS zones sort of following one after the other as Dan moves out of the toe there. Grumio can't get close enough, so stays in P2 for now, but we should see a move perhaps again go down towards turn 9.
Yeah, maybe I'm just looking out for tyres as Ethan now picks up a 3-second penalty. The tyres for the top 3 don't look too bad. I'm thinking Imri's maybe managed to just about bring those tyres in, obviously carrying that iron plate damage. And then Pope is just there or thereabouts. He's not really dropping back from Imri, but he's still building the gap to AT. So see what happens in Pope's race.
Another lead change once again here as Grumio gets back around Che for the top spot, and DRS obviously to try and pull away on corner exit. Che seems a lot closer to Grumio than Grumio was to Che last time round in terms of that move for the lead. So we'll keep an eye on those guys the next time they're in this spot. Dan right behind him again, so it's just sort of waiting for an opportunity to try and get in there and make a challenge. But Che obviously it's been a season or so since his last sort of proper challenge on Grumio in terms of the race for the championship. Obviously there's a long way to go. There's still 23 races to go after this one, but we'll see in terms of whether he can mount that full challenge this time around. Of course, P3 in the standings last season, could took that late on with the result, despite Pope winning the last race at Silverstone. But we'll see whether he can try and kick it off with a victory, as we tend to do in the past. We'll see what Che has got up his sleeve for the course of the season. Imri is still 1.2 behind right now, so he's not losing too much time to Dan, but needs those few extra tenths I think having the end plate back will give him. But obviously, I doubt he's going to want to stop this early on in the Grand Prix if he can help it. There's still a long way to go, and the hard tyres, I doubt he can probably sort of split two stints on the hard with another 48 laps still to come in this race. So we'll see what he's got up his sleeve later on this race. But for now, though, I think he's just got to sort of hang about where he is and see if anything comes his way.
Yeah, the own is CJ and Obsessed are very close together, to the point where Obsessed was literally being pushed through the chicane by the Aston Martin. On top of that, on top of pit stops and everything like that, it's a tough one, because if you pit now, you're going to likely come out in a train, and that is the last place where you want to end up.
That'll be the thing for those leaders to try and avoid coming out into traffic. That'll be the key thing that perhaps could decide this Grand Prix. We saw it a fair few times with the Red Bull lineup of what was Imri and Matthew at the time. Those guys ran an alternate strategy, and it cost them in terms of whereabouts they emerged. They found themselves behind a bit of traffic, and as a result, Grumio ran away uncontested for that race win. Whether they can try and go back to back in Australia, we'll have to wait and see. But Che looks to be putting him under a fair bit of pressure still, and Dan not too far behind either. Imri now 2 seconds back, Pope 1.8 behind us. As you said earlier, Ben, not losing too much time to Imri, but I'll say he's lost a slight bit of time to AT, so we'll see whether those guys can start to reel Pope in. But for now, JB, second penalty. First driver to receive 6 seconds this season. There it is on the board for you. Ethan with 3, Imri with 3, JB with 6. So not a fantastic start to the race in terms of discipline for those guys. We'll see what they've got up their sleeves later on this Grand Prix. But let's get busy in terms of trying to make up some places if they can. 10th and Rydog still going at it in the race of P17 at the tail end of the field. We'll keep an eye on those two as the race goes on. As Grumio now starting to pull away over Che, almost a second gap there. So Che almost out of DRS and in trouble here with very little battery to spare. But same thing for Grumio. Dan's got a lot of his still to come, so we'll keep an eye on these guys as they race for separate teams this season. But all look to be the 3 main challenges once again.
Yeah, it does look to be that way, at least in the first 10 laps, 10, 15 laps of the season. Imri's dropping back considerably now with the front wing damage. Obviously lost the DRS. Says we've got a yellow flag, and I wonder if it's for JB.
It is. It looks as though it's for JB. I mean, he's a slow car there, so we thought it was him in qualifying, and it looks as though he's lost his right end plate there. So concern early on. Based on what I'm seeing on the car, just from the TV point, it looks as though he may have had a slight run through the old gravel trap, which isn't obviously something we'd recommend when holidaying in Australia. As Curtis comes to the pit lane, looks like JB might join him. Yes, in he comes. So JB off those medium tyres, so he could be looking potentially at those first stops in this Grand Prix as Curtis makes his change. But obviously he starts on the soft tyre, so we'll see how long it takes the mediums. But JB is in, there will likely be a wing change for him here as well. But a tough start to the Grand Prix, obviously 6 seconds off penalties and a run through the gravel trap. So we'll see how we can recover later on in the race. But the wing is going on for RB, the first wing change for their season, and JB with that complete is now away.
Yep, as CJ picks up his first 3 seconds. This is going to be a bit of a tricky one for the drivers. Obviously, we're starting to notice 3 penalties going here and there. We've got another yellow flag in sector 1. I don't know what that was for.
I mean, that's just JB rejoining. So I think we're
okay.
That
just JB rejoining. It's a tough track to rejoin because you join right at the apex of turn 1. So I've had it before when you've had to avoid drivers that are coming out flying behind you. It's really daft.
And speaking of drivers challenging, Pope's made a move there on Imri for the 4th spot. So Imri really struggling here towards the end of this first stint. I think that's more down to damage than anything else. But we'll see what about he comes in. It wouldn't surprise me if he was the first of these top 5 to sort of bite the bullet and say coming in for tyres. But the top 3 have really pulled a gap here. Those guys now 5.8, almost 6 seconds in front of Pope. And those guys are themselves about just under 4 seconds in front of AT. So progress being made for those top 3, but the 2 behind them struggling a bit as they now sort of race by themselves for that 4th spot.
Yeah, it's looking like a 3-way fight in a way for the lead, at least at this stage of the race anyway. Obviously, we've still got quite a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Che.
And that will be costly for Che, as he's already almost out of DRS range as is, but now gets hit with a 3-second penalty. It's the only car in that top 3 to have one, and the second car in the top 5 to do so. So we'll keep an eye on how developments shift, especially these guys keep close to each other over the entirety of the race. That could be his undoing as Imri makes the pass on Pope with DRS to its effect, move Imri back into 4th place again. And obviously I'll have DRS to try and pull away. So we'll see Imri try and re-emerge, re-establish an advantage over Pope to make their way down towards turn number 11. Pope not using battery, but keeping with Imri for now. Further back, it's still AT and HB Cook leading that train. That's made a lot of gain, but actually saying the train's sort of split in half a bit here. Alvar is now by himself, as is PJ, and from there DJ leads the rest of the line. But those guys have broken up a little bit, I think down to I think Curtis pitting left a real ripple effect in there. But no one else has joined him in the pit lane as of yet. So we'll see if there are any takers this time round. Doesn't look like it for now. Looks like everyone is staying out for the minute on those medium tyres. Of course, medium tyres the prime weapon of choice for the majority of the field in this first stint. Just the 3 hard tyre starters, those being Websy, DJ, and Connie. And obviously Ericsson has made a change. JB's obviously made a change onto hard tyres. Curtis was on his soft tyres. He's made the change to mediums. So only mediums and hards being run for now.
Yeah, I don't imagine we'll see it soft or maybe even towards the end if we do get a safety car. Who knows what could happen. Just looking at penalty watch now, Imri is really falling off as I say that, and Che's outside the DRS of Grumio. Che picked up 2 warnings on the same lap. He picked up 2 warnings on lap 12, so I wonder if he had a bit of an adventure.
Maybe perhaps he did, but I'll tell you what. He's still got DRS out of turn 10. So perhaps he may have kept it a little bit for this time round. He's kept himself within that 1 second window, but it's getting quite close, Ben. As you say, it's a bit wide there. Out of turn 11 to contribute to the gravel trap, and that might cost him massively here. That might cost him that rear wing opening as Pope makes the pass on Imri, who tries to switch back, leaving turn number 11. Imri back on the inside, takes the place away from Pope once again here, but Pope will get DRS back down that main straight, which could make things a bit more interesting as those guys vie for 4th place. And in that, AT is now 3 seconds behind, so those guys are closing in as Pope and Imrie duel for fourth as they make their way towards turn 1 once again. We're on to lap 15 now. This Australian Grand Prix. Pope is close when he goes to move to the inside into turn 1, thinks better of it, moves back into line. Can he try and set himself up here for a better exit? The two former teammates at Mercedes back a little while ago, almost a year ago. At this point, yellow flag, last corner. Who is that for?
CJ.
DJ with a problem here. It looks as though, I mean, obviously he's still got that end plate damage from earlier on in the Grand Prix, but he's recovered whatever it was quite nicely. Was it? But did you see it at all?
No. However, the only thing coming out of the final corner is that he maybe had a slight bit of contact with, I think it would have been an Alpine maybe. If we start to see a change for second position, and that is Dan overtaking Trey.
Change made then back at the front. But obviously Dan now 1.5 seconds back from Grumio as those two are fighting for position number 2 on the circuit. And again, Pope making the pass on Imrie this time round. He'll have DRS to try and pull away as well. Imrie can't get him back for the minute, I shouldn't think. But he uses a bit of his battery to try and keep with Pope, to try and give himself a better shot next time around. 18 now, 2.7 behind. So he's really, so those guys, that train is really reeling in Imrie and Pope a lot faster than we thought it would. So keep an eye on the Haas, the other Sauber, and the Aston Martin to get involved at some point, perhaps in the next 5 laps or so. That's my battle forecast. But scrap that. In comes Imrie into the pit lane, but Pope stays out.
Yeah, Imrie kind of had no choice of losing so much time with the end plate damage. I wonder if it's going to have the end plate change, or the wing change, should I say, sorry. Is just looking for the back on as well. I think the likes of Kent, Obsessed, Ethan are all in a bit of a DRS chain, and that's proving to be a bit of a feisty one. That is, Imrie does have a front wing change.
Imrie will return to the racetrack here in what will likely be P17, so a tough first stint that given the damage, but he was contending earlier on in that first stint before he got the damage, obviously before he got the penalty to think about too. So we'll see how Imrie recovers. There's a long way to go in this Grand Prix, and obviously Imrie's a very quick driver, as we've seen many times in the past, but still chasing that first win since back in season 16. And we'll see here how he recovers later on in this Grand Prix. But as of right now, it's still Grumio by himself in front, but Dan's closing in a little bit here. The gap's still at 1.3 seconds. Yellow flag, and that is one of the Ferraris. That is Rydog, who's had some sort of altercation, has lost the majority of his front wing there, as whether it was a slide out of turn 5, which is easily done, depending on what level of traction control you're using on the game. But Rydog then recovers the car, but I should imagine we'll see him into the pit lane shortly. I don't think he can go along without a fresh wing.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to box to the end of this lap. I think with Rydog, it is an absolute nightmare driving around with just a bit of front wing damage around here. Rydog does end up picking up a 3-second penalty. That is not the best lap from Rydog.
Costly there as he went through turn 10. As his teammate Courtney Goblin comes up behind him. Big lock up there from the Ferrari.
Alvar onto the box.
Turn 11. Alvar pitting this time for McLaren. We'll see if there's any more.
Wing change as well.
Oh, was there perhaps damage we didn't see?
Maybe. Maybe that was from the start of the race.
No, I mean, I have to guess so. I mean, I don't think he'd have done that to make it more challenging for himself. Alvar doesn't strike me as that kind of driver. But in comes Rado into the pit lane now for Ferrari. That first pit stop as the Ferrari mechanics rush out into the pit lane to get themselves all set. Wing change in play once again. Medium tyres being onto that race car. It's not been a fantastic start to the race for the two prancing horses. We'll see if they can turn it around, as we are sort of getting towards the... we've passed the course distance in this Grand Prix. Well, obviously we'll be halfway, 15 laps as Grumio there slides through turn 11. Big slide as he went through there. Dan may gain a bit of time back, but he's actually lost a fair bit over the course of the last lap or two to the reigning champion. We'll see whether Grumio pits. These guys go a lot longer on the entire steps than they would normally, thanks to obviously running the full Grand Prix distance, as 10th Cannon and Obsessed make passes. 10th has made some moves in this Grand Prix. So, I mean, obviously we had a few cars pit behind it, or a few cars pit in front of her, but she's now in the 10th position over Obsessed and DJ. So things looking up for 10th perhaps, and we'll see if she can hold that spot over the course of the Grand Prix. But of course, we'll get more of a sense when she does pit. And Imrie is coming up on traffic here, which could be a concern for him as AT and PJ both pit.
Massive gaff from the crowd there. I don't know what that was all about. Normally that's when somebody hits the wall, so I wonder if somebody just tapped the wall and, who knows, maybe we could have a bit of damage.
Imrie fastest lap because he caught the Goblin with a bit of wing damage, so I have to keep an eye on him over the course of the next couple of laps and so see how pace goes.
Off. Oh, Imrie's hit the wall!
Oh!
Just missed that. Imrie slightly tapped the wall and then hit the Aston Martin on exit of hitting the wall. No damage done though. Lucky escape for Imrie.
No damage done to either car then, so we'll continue on as we are, but I doubt that the DJ will be too pleased with that. Obviously, the traffic has thinned out a little bit thanks to AT making his stop and TJ obviously stopping as well, but those guys coming out right behind, or at least AT is out right behind Imri here, so we'll see how the Hash driver responds. Obviously, those guys are... Sorry, no, I'm sorry, AT's right behind DJ, sorry, so Imri's got a bit of breathing room there as he tries to work on chasing down Curtis for the 9th spot. He's got Obsessed in front of him and 10th Cannon there in 7th as Grumio comes into the pit lane for the first time here, the first of the top 3 leaders to break and make that change. And he comes. Another set of medium tyres going on. He'll need to stop again. So we're probably looking at a set of hard tyres to run to the end. But if I know Grumio, he could try and go long and need to run a set of softs, but you never know. I mean, Curtis has got 10 laps out of them, but we'll see what Grumio can do.
Who knows? So we get yet another penalty. I'm starting to notice that pattern is like we seem to get quite a few penalties, particularly as the tyres wear on. So I wonder if everyone's pushing it a bit too much and maybe needs to slow down.
Albert Park, one of those many circuits in general, Ben, we're obviously looking at a high number of track limit penalties. That'll probably be the biggest concern amongst everyone over the course of the Grand Prix, perhaps second only to the tyre situation. But Imri is closing here. His charge continues to make it up towards Curtis on the medium tyre of Red Bull, and 10th of obviously his former teammate from last season, just in front of him on the medium tyres as well. Obviously hasn't made her first pit stop. The majority of cars have now stopped at this stage. We've currently got, I believe that's 8 cars who have not stopped in this Grand Prix as of yet. Dan, Che, Pope, Websy, 10th, DJ, and Cotney. So that's 7, sorry.
Yeah, about 7 or so. Grumio overtakes Websy. The good thing is for Grumio, obviously he didn't have to make a front wing change, and he came out pretty much isolated. He only had to pass the likes of Websy. So unlike Imri, he's had a bit of a cleaner first part, or at least the first couple of laps of his stint.
The pace is still very much there for Imri as he manages to get around 10th Cannon and is now fighting Curtis once again. Double whammy there for 10th. Unfortunately, she falls away from the Red Bull and the Sauber. Imri may try and challenge here down this main straight, so it's going to vex him. Actually, after the last corner, to be fair, close to contact. Curtis, I think, didn't anticipate that, and I wouldn't have done either. Imri goes for quite an unorthodox move there as he left the last corner, but now making the pass around the outside into turn 1, move Imri back into the 6th spot, but he is now currently 14.5 seconds back from Websy, and as it stands right now, he is 30 seconds off the race lead with Dan and Che both yet to pit in this Grand Prix. So it's going to be interesting to see whereabouts he comes out based on pace here from the last couple of laps on these hard tyres.
Yeah, anything can happen over the next 39 laps or so. Just looking at it more, I think Imri's fight will be with Pope as Grumio does overtake the Williams driver, showing that those fresh tyres that are working to perfection.
19 laps Pope's done on his medium tyres so far the entire race distance. No sign of Dan or Che stopping just yet, but I can't imagine they'll go too much longer on those first stints. But both cars staying out this time round, so we'll see whether they do choose to make that change and perhaps go on to either bolt on another set of mediums or perhaps a set of hards to go longer on the second stint and push on the end on mediums. So we're probably looking at 2 sets of mediums and 1 set of hards. 1 set of hards for the majority of drivers in this Grand Prix. Safe for Curtis, obviously went for the soft tyre. As Grumio goes fastest there, 1 minute 19.005. So good start to a stint for Grumio. As we see behind, Imri's made up about 1.5 seconds or so on Websy on the hard tyre Aston Martin.
Yeah, the good thing is now for Imri is that he has actually cleared the traffic, so he shouldn't have to encounter that again, unless of course he stops earlier than those behind him, in which case he may well do. There's another front wing change this time for the Aston Martin of DJ.
Aston Martin, they're making their first stop of the Grand Prix as DJ heads onto a set of medium tyres. And as you say, Ben, wing change being made as well. I would likely put him down the order again. Puts him into P18 as Cotney Goblin comes back to the pit lane. Rydog behind those guys. Another penalty for multiple warnings. So he's the second driver to inherit 6 seconds in this Grand Prix. JB obviously also there back in P13 or up in P13 with 6 seconds to his name as well. Cotney Goblin obviously pitting here and he's away. Going back towards turn 1 again. Dan is not pitting just yet. Oh no, yeah, no, he is. Here he goes. He faked me for a second, and I don't think it's not me you need to fake, Dan. It's Grumio in front, but Grumio's around the last corner now, so he's actually put on quite a clinic here in this first stint. But Dan is making a change. Hard tires going on. He is away. Che coming in just in front. Grumio emerging here with the race lead by quite some margin over Dan. It'll be a few seconds at least. Pope now into second place, but Pope obviously yet to, if I'm not mistaken, yet to stop in this Grand Prix. I'm changing the wrong thing. There we go. Yep, Pope still yet to stop. Websy in P4. Imri will emerge still a few seconds, about 5 seconds back from Chase. Still has work to do, and obviously Chase now on fresher hard tyres, so we'll see what he can do over the course of the race. But Che going down towards turn 3 now. Imri is about halfway to turn 3 himself. So pace still needs to be coming on for Imri in the second half of this race, but Grumio now leads by 6.7 seconds to Pope, and that'll be about another 8. If I have a look at the gap from Grumio to Dan, almost about 10 seconds advantage from Grumio to Dan after the pit stops.
Yellow flag.
Flag.
Is it Radok?
Yes, it is.
It is Radok. So he must have. I've done it before, where he's caught a blade of grass on the penultimate corner, and the car just does not like it at all.
You know what? It's easily done. I've done it many times myself. As Radog recovers it and carries on in P19. Tough day for Ferrari so far. Of course, after those guys finished, the Ferrari team finished P9 in the championship last season. Trying to avoid the same sort of fate, but not a fantastic start to proceedings here for Radog Alcott. He's Obsessed Gamer makes the pass on JB for P13. I've missed Obsessed being around as a full-time driver. Of course, Scott was on the verge of sort of regular point scoring towards the end of the season 18, obviously the start of season 19. So interesting to see how he fares in his first full season back with us.
Yeah, it's always good to have returning drivers back onto the grid. Wednesday is now overtaken by Dan, and then obviously Dan's not too far behind Pope. He may end up actually getting hindered by the Williams driver. He does a bit.
It's going to be very close between Dan and Pope as they make their way down towards turn 6 and through turn 7 now as well. And Webbsy right behind these guys, so Webbsy also gets to stop. Dan's on the fresh tyre, so this should be a matter of light work for him. He looks to make a move with DRS in play. There he goes. Look at the run he gets on the outside of Pope to make their way up towards turn 9. The question is, can he clear Pope before the corner? Yes, he can, without a doubt. And now Dan's got clean air to try and chase down Grumio and run a slightly longer stint on those hard tyres. We'll have to manage him to make sure he gains time on Grumio, but also doesn't run them out. Obviously, he'll be on a set of medium tyres, I should think, at the end of the Grand Prix. So we'll see about how long he can take these hard tyres before they start to die out.
Yeah, am I missing something here, Zach, or is Grumio just stretched away at the speed of sound?
You are not seeing things, Ben. Grumio has built quite a bit of a lead there, but I think it's largely due to his sheer pace through the pit stop sequence. So things have worked out quite nicely for him. Obviously, didn't have to make a change, didn't have to serve penalty, anything like that. So that obviously helps his case. Che is obviously fallen back a little bit there in the pits. And we may have to face Webbsy at some stage. We may have to face Pope too. Yellow flag last sector, and that is one of the. Looks like that's a JB around.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Oh, what a disaster for RB so far. Obviously, like 10th in qualifying, and now JB twice now in the race, I believe.
And they're not finding much luck in the last sector. RB over the
Must
course.
be something to do with that RB.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Ben, I mean, you've driven that car. Any gremlins I should know about?
It's well, I guess it's part of the Red Bull family, I guess. So that's pretty much it all.
So really fair enough. Right, lap 24 of the Grand Prix. Grumio is still showing the way for those of you who have just joined us. Webbsy, though, is defending from Pope. Both neither car have made their stop, but Che closing in, obviously Pope's teammate, whether he may try and sort of help to get Che past Webbsy and try and avoid him losing too much time to Dan, who's about 4.5 seconds in front to these three cars as of right now. Dan is still 10 seconds back from Grumio, so not making much gain here. It's been a bit of a struggle for Dan in the start of this stint, but Webbsy now coming in, and Pope, I think, will let his teammate go through nice and easy. You see him lifting there off the last corner and recovering it going. Oh, a slide there from Imre at the last corner. He's recovered it, but that was very close to the inside wall and no damage done.
Nearly a Sebastian Vettel moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh dear, except I'm pretty certain Sebastian Vettel did actually hit the wall.
Yeah, I think I've forgotten at this point. It's been too long in terms of real life Formula One. I can't remember the last time I actually sort of watched a European Grand Prix at the right time on a Sunday. But Haseby Cook makes the pass on Curtis in the race for the 7th spot. Move the Sauber driver up. Those guys currently scoring. That would be 16 points as of right now for their opening challenge to the season. I mean, Haas currently sat there on 20. Williams currently sat there on 27, and it's 33 right now for Haas, with both cars having made their stops. Grumio is in the lead, and AT is in 6th place. So both cars having a start to the season here. But this could be a runaway team. We'll see in terms of challenges what the rest of the field has got for them over the course of the campaign, because obviously still a long way to go in this Grand Prix and obviously in the season, no less. But Grumio, through the pit stop, has put on a clinic and now still leads by about 9.8 seconds. And Dan is struggling to try and close him down on the hards.
Yeah, I think we're all really settling down into a rhythm now, to the point where we're not seeing too many mistakes left, right, centre. Pope has gone really long on that set of hards. I believe. Yes, he has. 26 laps.
We've seen him do it before, so I'm not too surprised in that sense. But obviously, I should think they have to pit at some stage. Obviously, Websy is pitted. He pitted a lap ago and has come out in P11. So I should think Pope should emerge around the same place, if not behind, based on Websy's probably a better pace the last lap or so in terms of on those tyres. So we'll keep an eye out as to whereabouts Pope emerges. But I think being on the tyres this long may have cost him ever so slightly. But I mean, whether he's trying to go for a one-stop in this Grand Prix, that could be an interesting thing, because you can definitely go the second half of the race on the hard, so you can take the medium tyres 25 laps. So keep an eye on Pope. Might be trying to get a one-stop across the line. That would be interesting.
Very interesting indeed. Self-correction, actually, he's on set mediums. I'm looking at Che.
Che then on the hard tyre. Sorry, he still has that 3-second penalty to worry about. Websy now passing PJ in the race for the 10th spot, so that's obviously 1 point on the board. First point for Aston Martin season should they cross the line in these places. But obviously a long way, as I keep saying, long way still to go. We're not even halfway through yet, but we are a few laps shy of halfway as Grumio begins lap 27 of this thing. Dan's still second, but closing in by about a tenth or so, but still not making any significant progress. But that should likely change later on, because Grumio definitely needs to stop again for a set of hard tyres, and Dan will need to stop, or like to stop into a set of mediums. So we'll see what they have up their sleeve here over Mercedes to try and help Dan win this race if he can.
Yeah, as the race unfolds, who knows, maybe Dan can become the hunter and Grumio the hunted. We could have one of those moments, depending on how big the gap is and how quick Dan is on those medium compound tyres.
It'll all come down to what we see towards the end of the Grand Prix here. But for now, we're on lap 27. Websy still holding up PJ, or holding on to P10 of PJ. I think I saw one of the two Red Bulls lock up. I think it was Curtis, but things look to be all okay for the Red Bull driver on those medium tyres. TJ, same thing, but his tyres are 6 laps fresher. He's currently hunting the HP Cook once again. These guys going at it for position. AT has beaten both these guys out today, so they're keeping on as they are for now. No real concerns on that front for those two. But AT enjoying things where he is right now in P6 by himself. No real threat from in front. No real challenge. Sorry, no real threat from behind. No challenge in front. Imrie still closing on Pope here. 1.7 seconds is the gap. He currently sits a total of 25, almost 26 seconds back from the lead as Grumio begins lap 28. But Imrie obviously struggling a bit thanks to the penalties and the wing change.
Open to the box.
Oh.
Hope has finally decided to make his first and maybe last pit stop, depending on how he can go on the set of hard tyres. I'm sure if he's done 28 laps on the set medium, he can probably do another 31 or so on a set of hard.
I see no reason as to why he couldn't do that. Do you know what, Ben? I completely concur with you on that front. Pope is away, and we'll see how much the one-stop benefits him over the course of this Grand Prix. Of course, the safety car will throw a wrench in his plans. It's likely everyone will pit onto a set of mediums or soft tyres if they've got fresh sets left, and that will obviously throw track position for Pope. But if this thing stays clear, yellow flag as I say that, and that is, I believe that is the RB of JB, who's again found himself going around.
Oh, JB.
This time out of turn 13.
JB's just picked up a 3-second penalty as well, so his race has gone from bad to worse.
I mean, let's not forget, obviously JB is still on his relatively new wheels, so still getting used to running a number of these circuits on wheels. Imrie gets hit with a second penalty in this race. That might, and if he wasn't out the race already, I'd say he probably is now at this stage of the Grand Prix. Those 6 seconds to think about. He's there in P4, but still 12.6 seconds back from Che with 3 more seconds worth of penalties.
I don't want to say anything. Could we see maybe Imrie back up ATI's yellow flag in sector 1?
2 yellows, Ride Dog's out.
Ride Dog.
And that is a crash. Yes, it is.
Yes. Oh wow, that is a pretty bad crash as well.
No sign
is it full course or VSC?
No sign of. I think it might be a. I can't see anything on the circuit. Lights around the circuit, but I'm guessing it must be a VSC because no sign of the safety car coming out.
Don't know what's just happened to Alvar there. I don't know if it's been encountered by a glitch. I don't know what's going on with Alvar. Maybe struggling with his internet connection. He's here, there, and everywhere. 1 minute we're in the pit, next minute it's on the start-finish straight.
Makes it okay. Right, there we go. I think Radlock may have had a problem with his wheel there, which may have caused what happened.
Right, okay.
But it is looking like a VSC though, or like a full course yellow in some way. So likely we should. Everyone slowed down, so we should probably go back to racing shortly, I should think. Grumio currently 13.4 seconds in front, and the green flag goes back out, so it must supposed to be a VSC then. But I'm confused as to why there was no lights around the circuit, at least on my end. So I have to keep an eye on that on my side later on in the race. Should we have that again? But just the VSC then. That's our only momentary stop of this race, and we'll carry on as we were. Grumio now 10 seconds back in front of Dan. Che 5 behind. Imri still 12 back. AT 1.2 behind Imri. So it's also quite close in the top 5 as it stands right now. But obviously Pope there in P9 he'll be one to keep an eye on for in the second half of this Grand Prix. We are now halfway through.
Yeah, if Pope had literally left it a lap later, it would have been really helped out by that VSC. So, but you can't predict these things in the future. It's kind of just bad timing.
I think Pope definitely breathing a sigh of relief that it wasn't a full safety car, because I imagine we may have seen pit stops to then go along with it. I doubt that people would have been ignoring it and staying out for the free pit stop, as we saw with McLaren in the real-life Qatar Grand Prix yesterday. So
less said about that.
Yeah,
the less said about it, the better.
I'm still getting my head around as to what they were attempting there in terms of strategy flexibility. But to my mind, there's no rule in terms of maximum laps on tyres from our Qatar Grand Prix about a month ago. At this point, back in around 2022 of the season, in season 19. But obviously we're back to round 23 this time round. Actually, no, scrap that. Sorry, no. It will still stay around 22. There's different races in the finale. It'll be Austria reverse as the finale later on this year. So it should be chaos, because Austria is always chaotic the right way around, let alone the wrong way around.
Yeah, Austria, turn 3, the right way around is chaos. The wrong way around is even worse. We may see a double drivers exceed the track limits at the normal turn 3, in which case I think it's like turn 8. The wrong way around.
I'm seeing word from Ryder as to what's happened to him. He hit his back wheel against the tyre barrier just out of turn 5, so that will be that'll be a tough break for our dog. So I mean, a tough start to the RDL career, but hopefully we'll see him pick things up and obviously adapt as the season goes on. We're looking forward to seeing in terms of what he's got on other circuits. That'll be the sort of thing we keep an eye out for in the next couple of weeks. Of course, circuits like China, Japan, Bahrain, the first couple of races. Those races all being normal 50% length. So we'll see in terms of the short distance, however it gets back on again, as we get back to what we're used to in that sense.
We've got one fairly big-ish DRS train forming involving, I think it's like 6 cars now, if you include Alvar, who's only 1.2 behind. And then you got a bit of a closer one up at the top, consisting of like TJ, Wedsey, and Cook.
Those guys sort of going, well, not quite nose to tail, but they're there and thereabouts. I'm seeing it starting to form there, but I doubt that we'll get joined by anyone else for the minute until Pope catches up, which I think he should do. He's been closing rapidly on the hard tyre, running obviously there. He's done 3 laps on them already. 7.8 seconds behind Webbs as it stands right now. Of course, his teammate up there in third. Oh, it's a bit moves being made as Curtis goes around the outside of Obsessed at turn 10. Good move there. We managed to catch the end of it for Curtis. Up to the 10th spot. And there goes PJ around the outside making the move. Double whammy there for Obsessed as he falls down to P12. It could be a triple whammy should Ethan get through, but not a bit of it for now. Alpine then trying to recover things after that poor qualifying. And doing a good job of it so far. 1 place off the points as Curtis currently leads them around the last corner.
Yeah, very dicey going through turn 9 and turn 10 though. Side by side, they had a slight bit of contact between turn 9 and turn 10, but ended up making it through unscathed. That could have been pretty bad for both drivers, as Obsessed has just been given their first 3-second time penalty, I do believe.
Indeed it is, first 3 seconds for Obsessed Gamer. And that is now 9 drivers who have penalties in this race in some way, shape or form. So we are sort of nearing that point now. We start to think who.
It's like half. It's half the grid.
More or less, yeah. I mean, I think just under half with a. Actually, with a ride dog also have penalties too. Let's not forget that. So yeah, I'll give you that, Ben. Half the grid. Fair play. You are a quicker thinking man than I am, it seems, at this point of the Grand Prix. But we'll carry on as we were. A 10th candidate currently under pressure from 2 cars there. Alvar and Ethan both right on our tail in the race. The race was turn 9. Alvar makes the pass and may try and go for a move on 10th, but a bad exit, and Ethan again all over the McLaren. Can't make the move. There's a bit of contact, a bit of tap between those two, but Ethan though staying behind as Albar comes quite close to whacking 10th Cannon's rear wing as they make their way out of turn 11 through 12. But everyone keeps it nice and chill here, and Curtis now leads that train. PJ then Obsessed, 10th, Albar and Ethan.
Yeah, how have we not seen anyone lose it yet at turn 11?
It's been close. Saying that, that was when that's where I caught JB. Not the instant, just gone the instant before that for JB's spin. He's at a few different places so far in this race.
Yeah, JB is just not the best of races so far. Anyway, there's still time. 26 laps till the end, so anything can happen.
Indeed it could, and it usually does in motor racing. It's Webster makes the pass on TJ there for the 7th spot. But obviously he's still in range of HP Cook for DRS there, so should get it in attempt to try and challenge. To mind, Ben, let's not forget that this might be the last season we get with DRS in this league, and obviously we make the pass onto the manual override system next season on the new regulations. So I'd say enjoy having this DRS while it lasts. Let's give it that.
That's the thing that's making me both in real life and thinking, oh no, we've got only one more race left in DRS before they win. Then go on to all the aerodynamic weakness and that, which I believe it's short. Is it short to Bob?
Yes.
Is that right? Oh god, that would be weird.
I'd say I imagine for the Americans it'd probably be a bit more familiar than it is to us over in Europe. Well, we'll come to figure that out when we actually get a glimpse of the new cars. It'd be interesting to see later on, both in real life and on the game next year. Sesko off onto the grass there as they go through turn 1. He's outbraked himself a fair bit in that first corner, and Obsessed trying to shake off that rust down to P15 now, and the rust evidently still there after almost a full season out from running full time.
Yeah, I think that's really what happened there. The only problem is when you run wide here, it is so difficult to get back into a rhythm.
I mean, it's weird to think in certain. Despite all the markets on the floor, it's always weird to me to think that Albert Park technically is a street circuit. It doesn't feel like a street circuit in a lot of ways. Obviously, you are still quite closed in, but it's always felt like a purpose-built track to me in that sense.
Yeah, I can see why you'd think that, to be fair. Obviously, the road markings do say otherwise, in my opinion. But Albert Park is one of them where you think it's actually a permanent track, but no, it's a street circuit, and they pretty much have to plan the next race before they even start closing off at the end.
It's definitely one to think about. I suppose that's probably just me having preconceived notions about Formula 1 for a long time. But in terms of the race up front, because we haven't seen that much in a while, we're on lap 35 of this race. Grumio now leads by 7.6 seconds to Dan. He's been on those hard tyres for 13 laps now. Obviously, him and Che pitted at the same time. Che has just put it in, got a lap behind. Imri still in P4 on those 19-lap-old hard tyres, but likely had to make one more stop in this race to go to the end on another set. AT in P5, still 2.3 behind, but obviously will gain that spot thanks to Imri's 6 seconds unless AT gets 2 penalties of his own later on the Grand Prix. Ben, I'm not entirely sure in terms of warnings what AT's looking at, but Grimmer's coming to the pit lane now.
Who's making his second stop already?
Obviously, he's on those medium tyres, so I just had to go for a short stint as is, but hard tyres now on. So Grimmy will be on the oldest tyres coming into the Grand Prix, I should think. First car to make a second to routine stop as Dan now takes the lead. Che into second. And Grumio will need to obviously navigate the blue flags for Courtney Goblin as well before he gets his first crack at Che.
Yeah, the good thing is for Grumio is that he's just came out ahead of the RB. Whilst the RB wouldn't have been that much of an interference for Grumio's race for them being on a lap down, still would have been a bit frustrating for Grumio, but it's time not to perfection.
So no real threat for Grumio emerging back into traffic. Nice clear road in front of him. We've got 22 laps to go in this Grand Prix when our new leader Dan crosses the line, but obviously Dan will likely need to stop again, as will Che. I don't think I can see those two going to the end on the hard tyres, and if they do, Grumio will still catch them, I should think. So Grumio, more or less, with the lock on this race as it stands right now, short of anything going wrong. Imri still in P4, ATS still P5. Then behind him is Websy being chased by HP Cook. TJ's fallen off that train a little bit. He's almost second out of DRS range, and Pope is on the verge of catching these guys, Ben. Obviously, we saw him about 7 seconds behind about 5 or 6 laps ago, but he is now running quite close to those guys and probably looking at DRS at some point in the next 1 or 2 laps.
Maybe, yeah. It's just totaled up all the penalties. 42 seconds of penalties for those drivers that are still in the race.
And
If my maths are not mistaken.
Still over 20 laps left to get some more, so we could see that tally hit 50 towards the end of the Grand Prix. You never know, but hopefully it won't. Hopefully everyone will keep it nice and within the white lines at the end. But I think track limits is one of the big issues going into this Grand Prix. I think that's just a key thing with street circuits that are a bit more open compared to perhaps like a Monaco or a Singapore, for example.
Yeah, I think, whilst it is still possible, you don't often see it that much around Monaco. Obviously, Albert Park, street circuit, I can't remember where's that. Turn 1, 2, 9, 10, and then in the final sector as well. So easy to get track limit warning is. I'm just watching Pope from turn 1, that was vitally close.
AT rejoins the circuit there. Both Haas cars have now pitted and will likely go to the checkered flag on the hard tyres they've just pitted onto. Grumio still there in third place, 4 seconds back from Che. The question is, will he catch Che before he pits, or will Che pit to avoid having to fight Grumio and lose time in this race? Of course, he's got penalties of his own here, but with Imri being as far back as he is, and obviously Imri having more seconds worth of penalties, that shouldn't be of much relevance to me. I think Che is likely locked to that podium finish, short of any sort of major catastrophe. But Grumio closing in, he's now 3.4 behind, and Imri still quite a way back, as Pope finally makes the pass on TJ there, and HP Cook passes Websy.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. If Che was to pit, he would end up around Cook, so he may not be safe if he were to pit. He may end up behind the Aston Martin of Websy, actually.
So there's a good chance that Che might end up in that 4-car train you're saying there, Ben, with HP Cook, Websy, Pope and TJ.
Yeah, that is the last place where you want to be, but it's very nip and tuck.
It's gonna be close for Dan and Che coming in this Grand Prix. I think the top three are more or less secure in terms of their placing. I think the only question is whereabouts they finish. As TJ penalty, as Imri pits in from his medium tyres to go to the end. It's hard tyres for TJ, but 10 seconds now to his name, and that'll be costly for him in his first race back as a full-time driver. Of course, to mine, I said this to him previously. He won his last race as a full-time driver's memory. I believe his last race was back in season. I don't know. I mean, his last win full-time was back in season 14 in the reverse grid finale quite a while ago. That would have been on the end of F1 22. So we're looking at about sort of 2 years or so since then, or 2.5 years.
Yeah, you're probably talking about 2.5 years.
Around the sort of time the F1 23 released, the day before.
F1 23. What a game that was.
I miss it at times.
Took me back.
I think honestly, I prefer this game in terms of. I don't know. I prefer this season, but the Mercedes look nicely. Mercedes have brought out nice cars for all of the regulation, all of this run of regulations. Back on track, Pope makes the pass on HB Cook for put us off a little bit, but Pope making that pass has now cleared the traffic. But he is now 27 seconds behind Grumio, Che, and Dan. But the key thing of Pope is obviously, I doubt he'll want to pit again. That's the only thing here, because he'll probably gain a lot of that time back from Che and Dan pitting again. The only question is how long they'll be in the pit lane for.
Yeah, I think pit lane around here is about 22, 23 seconds. Depends on if you do have a front wing change. If you have a front wing change, it's pretty much the same length as Silverstone. As we're starting to see a few more penalties going out left, right, and centre. So we could well be up to about 50 seconds of penalties by the end of the race. Who knows? Hopefully not. As Grumio passes Che.
Obviously, Che was the better car off the line in the first on the run towards turn 1. He's now there in the third spot. Things looking good for Williams right now, because obviously Pope shouldn't stop again, and Che is more or less locked for a podium unless something goes wrong. So we'll have to wait and see here as to what the game plan is for him from here on out. Dan is still 3.7 seconds in front of Grumio, but obviously that'll change. I should think in a few laps' time whether Dan pits again or whether Grumio catches and makes that pass. But I should think the Grumios are locked to win this race by a fair margin, and it could be Pope in second place if he gets enough a solid second stint in the last 19 laps or so of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dan could still be within Charlotte. It depends if there is a late course VSC or indeed safety car, maybe even a red flag.
I mean, you never know. We saw one.
We had a couple of red flags.
We saw one in the last Grand Prix, didn't we? In the reverse grid.
Was it Silverstone?
I think it was. Yeah, it was very early on, but
it was yes.
The collision between EJ and JB.
Yes, I do actually remember watching it. I was thinking, what on earth just happened?
Excellent. So memory serves then for the pair of us 2 weeks out from it happening, which is always a positive. So we'll carry on then. Dan still leads 3.7 seconds the gap. We'll look further back here as to what else is going on in the order. That train is still kind of exists there. I mean, 18 now leads Curtis, Alvar, PJ in 10th. Those guys still sort of all together. TJ 4.2 seconds back, but still close those guys with fresh hard tyres on the car. Ethan by himself, P14. I'm saying that Ericsson right up his chuff in the race for the 14th yellow flag, and that is the Aston Martin of Websy.
Websy. Oh, massive crash.
Contact there, and still no safety car.
Deployed.
Imri's out.
Oh no.
And a tough break to open the season up for the Pulse. Safety car's out.
Full course safety car. And what has just happened there?
That changed everything. Whatever happened, I'm not sure if
Imri just
caught Websy. I'm not sure if Websy perhaps lost the car, and Imri just sort of caught him at a bad time. Not entirely sure, but Imri is out of the Grand Prix. Websy carries on with a damaged front wing. Change being made there. I wonder.
I don't know what just happened there. But,
I wonder.
Go on.
I wonder if it's quite similar to what happened to you and Che in Jeddah. Not even past joking. I'm wondering if it's the same sort of thing, whereas sort of Che sort of caught you as like a stationary, not stationary, but sort of very slow moving vehicle and had nowhere to go. Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't know what the tyre be in that case, but full course safety car completely changes the race. Wednesday is also retired from the race, as to be expected. I imagine Wednesday would have had a ton of damage after that.
He'd lost his front wing completely there, so not fantastic. I'd have. I mean, I don't know if a change would have helped him much in terms of trying to get track position back in this Grand Prix, but obviously that'll bring everyone close together now. Dan, Grumio, and Che, obviously all quite close as is. This will bring AT and Pope back into the equation. Pope's already made his stop onto a set of hard tyres, so he's going to go to the end on those, I should think. And yes, in come, I should think, all 3 cars. Grumio stays out. Okay. So, it'll be Dan and Che then on what I'm guessing will probably be fresh medium tyres. I don't know. Ben, we're at a weird point here. Do you think you can take mediums from here?
Yes, you should be able to. Okay. Albeit it's going to be a bit of a tight stretch, I won't lie.
I think Dan and Che want to avoid taking those chances as they make their change onto a set of hard tyres then. But obviously it'll be a lap or two before we get going. And with that in mind, we're going to take a moment here to sort of get our bearings. So back with you shortly. So back in then, and we're looking forward to what should be an exciting finish to this Australian Grand Prix. Grumio, his lead's been whittled down to nothing. Obviously, he's been quite dominant in this Grand Prix so far. Had things on lock thanks to tyre strategy, but now it's gone the other way. And we've now got Grumio, Dan, Che, AT and Pope. That top 5, I think, will be the ones to try and win this thing in the next 16 laps. Obviously, it'll be a lap or two, I just think, before we get going. So you see a number of changes being made in terms of tyres. Alva on the soft tyre, so he's taking a run there and going into the end on the softs. And I mean, Ben, you said to me that mediums would be a push at most. So Alvar taking a very unorthodox choice there. Can he carry those to the end, do you think?
Maybe. Maybe. I'll leave it at that, maybe. But I'm glad to see he's been at least optimistic. Giving us a bit of a change of strategy. Who knows what we could see from Alvar.
In terms of tyre changes, Curtis has gone to a set of medium tyres. Ericsson also on mediums. TJ on hard tyres. TJ on hard tyres. So a number of changes have been made here, track position has been sacrificed. We've been caught a bit of a weird point here. We were sort of like mid-second stops there, but you got to feel for Imrie. Obviously, started on pole, had the pace in the start. Obviously, but the penalty and the wing damage early on didn't help his case. But yeah, I mean, caught out at this stage of the Grand Prix by Webb. We're obviously not quite sure what happened to Websy, but definitely a tough break for him. And he'll be hoping to try and recover that next week in China.
I think Imrie was more or less just a passenger. He's in chat. He's basically summed up the entire event for him, I guess you can call it. He's got another soft run of JB.
JB making that change there. So a few cars then going for the soft, which should be interesting towards the end of the race to see if they can make a late push for points, of course. JB's task a bit harder there because obviously he's starting 6th place off the points and has 12 seconds of penalties to take. So we'll keep an eye on him. TJ, I think has taken his 10 seconds for speeding, so I think he's all okay now. Just has that 3 seconds to think about. We've got 15 laps to go when they cross the line here. I should be thinking we're probably looking at around 13, 14 laps. The lights are still going on the main straight there, and I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, it's been a lap or two now, so I'm not sure if we'll wait the whole time for everyone to catch up. But the last car to catch up with JB is currently going towards turn 9 now, while the leaders head towards turn 3. So it could still be a minute. We're just waiting now for what should be a good start to the race. I mean, Pope is still there in P5, Ben. So I wouldn't say that your pick is out of it just yet. I didn't make a pick, so I'm not going to because the race is obviously starting. But
took the safe option.
Remind me to make a pick next week.
Yes.
We'll start it from there. All right.
That'll be the.
And with that in mind now, if we do it once every week for 23 weeks, we'll be able to sort of have like a competition where whoever's pick finishes highest wins, and an odd number of races just doing it means we guarantee a winner. So should we call it that? Will that be the challenge for the season?
Yes, absolutely. Sounds like a great idea.
Right, we need someone to keep count of that. Obviously, we'll keep count ourselves, but we need someone to verify it over the course of the season. Commentator versus commentator. That'll be the other thing going on in the championship. Safety cars in this lap, so a few cars are going to be left out. In particular, JB and TJ may catch up, but JB looks to be down the order and will need a lot to try and catch up in this last lap. He'll more or less need to get going now and hope that Grumio backs everyone up on the race start here, which he obviously has been known to do a lot in previous seasons. In terms of this restart, Ben, if you were the leader, whenabouts would you go on a circuit such as this one?
Probably as early as you can, to be fair. Try and catch nothing. If you leave it too late, it's kind of too predictable, and then you leave yourself really in the mud for turn 3. It's a tough one. So let's see what Grumio does on the safety car restart.
We'll see how the reigning champion navigates it as he looks to make that restart. As he's going away, he's going now then out to turn 13. It's a good run through 13 as well. Gives himself the best possible start as he leads down and shout at the last corner. 14 laps to go here in Albert Park to begin to end the first race of season number 20. Grumio leads into turn 1. Dan second, Che third.
Yeah, no real change to be fair. Everyone's almost like gapped out in a bit. There is not much to really say other than they all head in single file into turn 3. The Ferrari goes a slight bit deeper. Just be careful, Rydog. Sorry, not Rydog.
Couple of good wide there. I think let everyone go. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, he's letting everybody go. That is a tough place to let everybody go. I won't lie, because it sharpens up on the exit of turn 5.
Then I have to cut you off here because it goes down to the outside for the race lead. Sorry, going down towards turn number 9. Look to the outside for a second there. Sorry to have interrupted you midway through, but he was going for it, and Che is on their tail too. So the top 3 again have pulled away here as HP Cook makes the pass on PJ. Oh, PJ came back at him here. He's getting quite chaotic in the midfield here as they race out of turn 10 towards turn 11. Keep an eye out for HP Cook and Curtis going side by side into the right-hander. Curtis trying it on PJ, who Curtis locks up, holds on to the inside going into turn number 12. HP Cook falls away. And obviously Sauber have lost a fair few points from the Imrie being at a retirement in this race. Obsessed wide, falls down to P14. Almost loses out to TJ as well. DRS in play. The mid-pack about to get very interesting. And up front, the top 5 pulling away again. But 18's got a bit work to do to try and close with Pope behind him. But try and make it a true 5-car race for the win with 13 to go.
Yeah, look at the top 3 now. The closest we've seen them since the start of the race. The midfield would certainly heat up as we've got people in different tyres, different ages of tyres as Alvarez trying to make a move from TJ, will he get the move around the outside of turn 5?
Oh, it's close.
He does, you know.
I thought he hit the outside wall, but he's kept it under control. And Alvar on those soft tyres, let's not forget. So fastest tyres in the field, along with JB, obviously. But JB starting a few seconds back after that safety car. He'll be able to try and pick up some pieces from any chaos that goes on up front. He'll be hoping for a retirement or two as Curtis passing PJ in front as they race towards turn number 9. Once again here, it's looking good then for Curtis. Obviously, he has got 6 seconds to think about, so that could put him at the points, but he's got time to try and build a gap away from this train if at all possible. HP Cook trying on PJ again, makes that move to the inside, going through turn 11. PJ better exit. HP Cook went a bit too deep there, or a bit too close to the apex rather, and PJ holds on to it. 10th cannon there in P9. No penalties to her name. This could be a fantastic start to the season for her and for RB. She could gain 2 or 3 places in this race, depending on how it comes to an end, but she gets no penalties of her own. But onto that 47 up front is Dan. Telling Grumio's Che goes off onto the grass, onto the gravel.
Oh,
Che, it's close to rejoining. It's come very close to hitting both.
Really bad.
That could have gone really badly, Ben.
His own teammate. Could we have maybe an Alpine 2.0 from 2024, 23, I believe it is.
23, yes, that'd be correct. I'd rather we didn't, truthfully.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't think about that. That was almost the same thing, word for word. Look at the pack behind these guys, getting very tasty indeed. As you see him moves being made as Ericsson falls out of favour. TJ makes the pass on him. Ericsson falling down to P14 or P15 as Obsessed tries to challenge. Close. Obsessed in the wall, and he's taking Connie Goblin with him. Yellow flags out.
That.
Both cars still running. Damage done to both though. Slow car, Connie Goblin, Ferrari have had things fall away from them.
What's this? Going very slow.
Is there a puncture on that race car? There is puncture. Yes, there is. You can see it. Look at the way he's tilting up onto one side.
Yes. Yeah, puncture. So, left front puncture for Obsessed. That is the worst safety car restart that Obsessed could have literally asked for. Is Obsessed now going into gravel?
You've seen this, haven't you, Ben? You've seen it, haven't you?
No, definitely not. As Ethan now makes his way into the pits. Yes, I've seen it before. It's not nice. Someone changed for the Alpine as well.
Tough break then for the Obsessed and for Courtney. Both Merck and Ferrari. Of course, Merck got a chance to win this race because in all this chaos, Dan is taking the lead of this race. Grumio now sits second. Pope in third. Chelsea down to fifth. AT is under pressure from Che, who himself is pulling away. This Pope will maintain P5 as it stands right now, thanks to Curtis being obviously having 6 seconds and being 2.2 behind. But Curtis will try and drop HP Cook as Che makes the pass on AT, going up towards turn 9. So again, a change being made there. But Grumio will be trying to hunt Dan down for that first win of the season. It's going to be very tight between those two to the end. And can Pope still get involved later on, Ben? That'll be your pick. You'll be back to be secretly banking on him to do the business this late on in the race.
I think if Pope were to get podium, I think he'll be pretty happy with that. As he's had a pretty good last 20 or so laps. Safety car didn't really help him out in terms of strategy, but with chaos involved in all around and made his way up into third. So hold on.
It's worked out quite nicely for him in the end. I think all things work out, despite not being able to go for that one stop like he was planning. Alvar obviously still on those soft tyres. There's now 5 cars on soft. Ethan, Obsessed, and Courtney all on them for now. There's still 9 laps to go. There'll be 10 left for these guys who just crossed the line. Overall, there'll be 9 laps to go when Dan next crosses the line. But Alvar on those soft tyres, he'll be on them for about 17 laps come the end of this thing. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he can actually make those things last to the flag or not. But right now he's in the points, and everyone behind him has penalties, so he's doing good for now.
All we need to do is park the bus.
Essentially, yeah.
Park that McLaren.
Park the car on every apex. Keep it clean. Avoid any more warnings. Do we know in terms of warnings what Alvar's on by any chance?
Yeah, can do that. Alvar is probably one of the better drivers in terms of...
Oh, Grumio penalty. Grumio pen, and that can be costly.
That was costly.
3 seconds of penalty
no
track
warnings.
limits. Alvar, sorry?
Nice. Alvar, no warnings at all. So,
wow.
Alvar's kept it really clean the last 50 laps. Fair play to him.
That's severely impressive. Over the last 48 and a half complete laps for Alvar, I'd say any point he gets from here will be well deserved. This late on in the race, if he makes those soft tyres work with that puncture to the end of the Grand Prix, that'll be highly impressive. As JB himself is also working, trying to close in. He's about 2 seconds back, just under 2 seconds back from Ericsson. JB clawing his way back towards the front after being left behind on the safety car restart. There's 9 laps to go for him. I doubt he can get to the points thanks to those 12 seconds, but if he can get himself into that top 10, I'm sure you'd be pleased with that pace-wise.
100%. With where everybody was looking from that one, we've got a mixed up grid now with like the Curtis P6, 10th, 7th. Obviously, AT is now 5th. The 2 Williams have swapped places again. I'd love to know what's going to be happening in the Williams VC.
I'm sure that
Are they gonna
both are expected. Sure they're not doing.
Yeah, I think we'll chase Penaway as well. The idea maybe to let Che pass, see if he can catch up, and then if he doesn't, just drop back a bit. 10th is just dropped to place. Yes.
Down a spot, but still right behind HB Cook, who himself has the 3-second penalty. So if 10th can stay in that window, then it should be okay. And obviously Curtis has 6 seconds. So as of right now, 10th Canada on course to finish P6 in this Grand Prix. Short of nothing going wrong for her in these final 8 laps. But Dan is crossing the line here. He's half a second in front of Grumio. I should think if Grumio can take that lead, he want to try and gain 3 seconds, which we've seen him do before. So this race isn't over yet if Grumio takes the lead, but have to wait and see as Che gets around Pope now for the 3rd spot. Can Che try and hunt the leaders down and try and get himself as far ahead as he can to avoid losing out to AT, who himself is currently out of range. So Che technically in 4th place, Pope still in 3rd for penalty-wise. So keep an eye on that unless Pope gets one of his own. Still...
You got me?
Okay.
Perfect, yeah, all good. Controller side.
Ah, okay, I got you. Fair enough. Xbox problem, couldn't relate. But continuing on, I mean, it's all sort of died down a little bit. Save for what's going on in the mid-pack here. There's sort of a train still being led by Alvar, who himself has got DRS off of DJ in front as Alvar goes off circuit there and opens the door there for TJ to make a move. TJ obviously with penalties, so no concern for Alvar just yet. Both cars have DRS. Alvar's soft tires are still surviving here. He's gone through the grass again a little bit here. TJ may well clear the McLaren going into turn 9. Be careful, these guys. Going to contact. Around goes Alvar in front of the train. Off into the barriers. Contact!
Massive crash.
TJ and Alvar both off.
TJ.
And that could be a second safety car. Maybe.
No.
Red flag is out.
Flag.
And this and the race changes once again. The complexity of the race shifts once more. And a VSC, a safety car, and a red flag. We've got the trifecta of cautions in this race, and now we're going to have about a 5-lap shootout to decide this Australian Grand Prix. Dan thought we had it won, but it might not be over just yet.
Anyone with penalties now is just going to plummet.
Wow.
If you haven't got a penalty, obviously Alvar's... is Alvar still in the race?
Alvar, I believe, may be out of the race. I'm not sure. PJ's out of the race. I know he was.
PJ is confirmed.
Alvar might still be going. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how hard his impact was. But, I mean, he's already loaded, as is PJ, so I'm thinking that he's probably out of it. We'll get a sense here. We're going to get a few laps here to settle this Grand Prix. What a finish we're in store for, Ben.
100%. Remember the 2023 Australian Grand Prix?
Oh, I'm about to have it again. Wow. Okay. This race is getting... I'm getting sort of deja vu as a spectator on that front.
Yes.
Right.
Let's hope there's no teammate collisions. Everyone's on soft. 5
laps to go. Soft shootout to end this race. What an opener this has been. How chaotic it's been. Lights out. We are back to racing once again. Good starts from both the cars on the front row. Dan in front by a nose going towards that first corner. Grumio is going to try and pull out 3 seconds and try to take the lead off of Dan as soon as he can here. 6 laps to decide this Grand Prix. Not 5, sorry. Dan leads. Grumio and Che again pulling away here. I see AT challenging Pope on the outside. Lock up there. Grumio into the race lead out of turn number 3 and through turn 4. Everyone going for it and going for those points. Grumio leads. Can he pull away?
It's so tight to the apex of turn 3. How on earth did he make that move? There's contact further for it. I believe it's similar with a Haas and a Williams.
AT and Pope going at it for P4 here. Those guys quickly falling away from the top 3 here. What a racing this is going to be. Look at this. AT in front of Pope. Clears and going towards turn 9. Then no better than to go for a move there. All single file here is the non-stop sprint to the finish. This is what AD21 should have been, I think, in all seriousness. But we'll continue on. Grumio, Chelsea up by the penalty too. Let's not forget. So Dan is in a pretty locked spot right now. But Grumio needs to pull 3 seconds now in 5 laps. The question is, can he do it? I don't think I think as good as Grumio is, I'm sorry, but he's not Jesus. I think this is a bit too far beyond what he's got in his locker, but can the 10-time champion respond to my claims there with 5 laps to go? He's going to need to pull 2.5 seconds, half a second per lap here in order to win this thing. And considering how close Dan and Che have been to him all day, I should think that Dan will likely win this race without a penalty, but he needs to keep it clean and avoid any sort of warnings himself. And he should have come home with his first win of the season.
Absolutely. Maybe the first of many. Is there? Who knows? Maybe Grumio may be under pressure. Just a bit of a stand up from Dan. He is on 2 warnings.
Ericsson, sorry, off in the gravel. Recovers it.
Yeah, Ericsson's off. Dan is on 2 warnings.
Oh.
So Dan's got to play really safe, but also stay within DRS. If he loses DRS, it could be game over.
And let's not forget, if Dan gets penalty, that open things up for AT and Pope, who aren't too far behind either. But they are about one. But AT's about 1.5 seconds back, almost 2 seconds back from Grumio in front. He's 2.3 off the lead as of right now. So those guys can keep themselves in range. They may still have a chance here if all 3 of these guys get penalties. You never know. Dan's on 2 warnings. Grumio and Che have 3 seconds each. Pope and AT could be fighting for the win here. They know what's on the line.
Here's a question for you, Zach. How would you play things if you were in Che's position?
Oh, rare for you to ask me a question, Ben. I don't know, truthfully. I think the only thing you can do is just sort of try and drive your way around these two and then go balls to the walls, try and build as much of a gap as you can to try and avoid losing out on points. And Che gets heard of you, Ben. He's going to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with 4 laps to go in this thing. Right, he's on a soft tyre. Contact between Dan and Grumio out of turn 1. And Grumio falls away there. Che trying the outside towards turn 3. It's getting very tasty up front here, Ben, as these guys vie for what could be the first win of the season, should they all avoid penalties. But Dan is now in front. Of course, he knows what he needs to do this late on as Che and Grumio going side by side. Grumio goes out of the picture. Che into second place. And Dan is trying to streak away in front.
Don't forget about Pope and AT, though.
Let's not forget. AT 1.2 back from Grumio, but he's currently still 2.3 behind Dan. So Dan needs to gain some more time here to avoid any sort of risk late on this Grand Prix. 2.5 the gap now. Let's keep an eye on that in the last 3.5 laps of this Grand Prix. But Dan is streaking away from both Che and Grumio. These two will need DRS to keep them in the picture this late on this race. AT knows what's at stake if Dan gets a penalty. Pope's right behind him. Curtis and HB Cook.
Look at 10th.
10th challenging as well. 10th obviously could be on for quite a high points paying place here should she maintain herself in terms of no penalties. It's going to be a fantastic race for her should she cap this one off. DJ going offline there, going towards turn 12. What a race. I'm losing my voice here, Ben. This has been a fantastic Grand Prix and Dan is 3 seconds away from winning it. 3 seconds? 3 laps, sorry.
It's not that close yet. We've still got over 3 laps to go. As just looking further down the grid. The further down the grid you get, the more chaotic it's going to be. With the likes of Obsessed, maybe Ericsson, if he can close back up, JB, they've got nothing to lose.
I'd say so.
Go for it.
Honestly, from what I'm looking at here, 10th could potentially be on course. If things stay as they are, and Che and Grumio don't gain much more, she could be on course for a 4th place finish at most here. If she keeps things as she is. But if that changes, it'll only be like 1 place gain because the Curtis has 6 seconds still. So a penalty wouldn't kill 10th gains entirely, but it would obviously limit them a fair bit. If she tries to challenge HB Cook here on the run towards turn 9, as Pope again challenging AT for will be the 4th spot again. These two still no penalties as well. I'm not sure how close they are, but they're still going for it this late on.
Yeah, it's so tight. This is what we love about last minute shootout to last lap shootouts. This is what Abu Dhabi 2021 could have been like.
I'm seeing one of our reserves here, Tinky Winky, saying don't sleep on Pope in the chat. I mean, the race isn't over just yet. Pope, he's going to need a bit more to get himself back into range here, but he's looking at second place, I think, right now, as it stands with 2 laps to go, unless Grumio and Che restart the game. But Dan is still half a second in front, but Che is close to him here. I think the race win isn't on for these two at this point. They haven't got enough time to try and build 3 seconds unless everyone crashes behind them. But Dan is on course for this one. I think he'd like to win it on track if he can, as well as win the race overall. Che is right behind him, the 2 former teammates, the Constructors winning pair from last season, being hounded by the reigning drivers champion of 10 championships, Grumio. And behind him, Pope trying to survive and trying to keep himself as close as he can. He's trying to take a podium finish out of all this.
Yeah, but the problem with Pope is the fact that he's got no DRS in the top 3, or should I say, Che and Grumio do. So they're going to continuously build the gap.
I think
it's something needs to happen for the top 3 for Pope.
I think unless they crash, I think in terms of getting a podium finish, there's no way back for Pope now. unless there is contact here. Grumio
Ooh.
thinks better of it. I thought he was going to do what PJ and Alvar did for a second there, and he's going to go for it again here, making a second chance, because these two are fighting for second place, let's not forget. Dan's probably going to win the race from here, but these two are fighting for second in the closing stage of this race, and they could take each other out. You never know. Contact there. I think they heard me. Guys, don't listen to what I'm saying. Go for the race win. Dan is going through the last corner. Grumio sends it here, locks up and slides up, almost hits Che. Not going to do it, but here comes Dan, though. A second clear. He's got to hang on for one more lap here, and he should win the first race of the RDL Season 20. 1 lap to go here, down under. Dan is in control. Grumio second, and Shane still in third place. 80 back around Pope. Those guys fighting for the 4th spot, and 10th Cannon trying to survive in this mid-pack for a higher finish.
Yeah. This is going to get tight, and Jimmy picks up yet another 3-second penalty.
It's a tough break
Oh,
for
what a
him.
disaster it's been. But that's racing sometimes, unfortunately, these things do happen. Look at the amount of cars separated by 100 metres.
You could put a blanket over the majority of these machines as they charge through turn 5 for the last time in this race. It's been a very chaotic Grand Prix. Dan is on course for victory, regardless. I mean, unless he gets a penalty later on. I'm not quite sure how he's doing for warning. He says he's got 2 warnings, so he's got to keep it entirely clean this last half lap. But no pressure from Che for the minute. Big Che's going to make it one more chance here, going out of turn number 10. The last sort of danger point on the circuit for Dan has been passed. That's turn 10. Che is closing. Won't close enough, though. He's going to have to hold it back in line here. And with a late penalty, Che will get one last chance, perhaps going into turn 13 with a good enough entry and a good enough run through turn 12. But I think it's not going to be enough here. Dan has survived the chaos in these last 18 laps or so. He'll round the final corner. He survived the soft tyre shootout to the end of the Grand Prix. No such penalties for Dan. He'll round the last corner, take the checker flag, and win the first race of the Races Driving League Season 20. Dan crosses the line. Second place goes to Che. Third to Grumio. Fourth to AT in the end. Curtis passes Pope, but Curtis Pope finishing P5. HB Cook 6th. 10th Cannon P6. HB Cook P7. TJ 8th. Curtis 9th. And Ethan takes home the last point on the day. What a day that was, Ben. What an opener. And I'm very much looking forward to the end of to the rest of this season, if that's anything to go by. What a race that was. You've had banger after banger. You lucky duck.
Must be me something to do with joining you commentary.
What a race.
They always thought the show.
Dan with a refund there. Exclusive celebration for him. I think that's one of the F1 Esports qualifying celebrations. But Dan wins it. Grumio second. So no, Che second. Sorry, I'm still used to seeing Grumio and Williams. But Che second and Grumio third. The top 3 always rising above as they have done over the last 2 seasons or so. And again, it looks as though these guys are going to be really on it over the course of this season. As the championship could get very, very tasty indeed as these guys fight for what could be a championship with fine margins. But it is Dan who wins here down under. We'll have a look at your final results if we can. Grumio third place. Dan wins it from Che and Grumio, second and third. AT in fourth, Pope in 5th place. 10th Cannon 6th in the end, 8 points for a fantastic day. HB Cook P7, only 6 points going Salvard's way today. Then it's Red Bull, TJ and Curtis P8, P9, and Ethan takes home the last point. Behind them, Courtney Goblin came 1 place shy of his first points in over a season. Ericsson P12, Obsessed P13, DJ P14, and it's JB P15. PJ, Alvar, Websy, Imri, and Rydog all goes down as retirees in what was a very, very chaotic Grand Prix, to the very least. Ben, before we go into interviews, give me your thoughts.
Could not be any better. Don't know what's happened with his tiny thing, but apparently Grumio, Cook, and Obsessed did not set up times, and all ended up 15 laps behind the leader.
I mean, they're crossed the line.
I don't know what's happened there.
It's F125 being F125. Well, we won't think about it too much. But that'll do it then in terms of the racing on offer here today. And we'll head now over to our post-race interviews for what was a very, very exciting Australian Grand Prix. I'll open things up to the drivers shortly. But yeah, what a race that was.
What a race indeed.
Good stuff being done across the board in this Grand Prix, and we'll open these up to seeing who will show up. I mean, obviously we often get Dan in, so I imagine we'll see him in a matter of moments here. I'm still just sort of in shock at how the race turned, because that looked to be Grumio just pulling away for what looked like an easy victory, but not to be. And all of a sudden, things turned on its head completely, and now Dan took away with the win and full 25 points to go with it.
Yeah, does Grumio have a fight on his hands?
He might do. Sorry, that's what you're trying to ask. Sorry, I know I'm sort of speaking over you, but yeah, I'm based on that race. I'd say absolutely yes.
100%. But what a race!
What a race! I mean, there's a number of drivers that I think we simply have to talk to in terms of in terms of purely getting through the chaos in that Grand Prix. It was so enjoyable, to say the very least. And I hope, Ben, you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll see if we do get anyone in. But I mean, I'd hate to have to call the stream now after the sheer enjoyment we took from that Grand Prix. But I feel like we need to talk to at least somebody about the race as a whole. We have got Pope in, and we've got 10th Cannon. Here we go. We have got some arrivals in the end. 2 of our point scorers joining the chat. Pope will come to you first, as you finished in 5th place, higher up. Chaotic end to the race, but that looked like a simple one-stop for you to run this race. I mean, the reaction to the chaos there, and it almost came for a podium for you. So I think a fun day at the office.
Somewhat. I had damage. Terms, your mic is echoing quite badly.
Is it?
Yeah, I had damage lap 1, turn 1 on my floor, so unfortunately it was not such a fun day in the office. Balancing that was tricky, and I was annoyed for quite a lot of the race with that, because it's not the best way to start season. But yeah, I wish that red flag didn't come out, to be honest. I feel like maybe a podium was actually on a good little strategy.
Well, I say you probably had a good shout, even with the red flag, until sort of the last few laps when the leaders started to pull away. But I mean, was there a hope that perhaps one of those two would take each other out and that'd be perhaps podium for you? Was that the hope late on?
No, I think more it was just let's try and finish, because, like I say, having the floor damage from lap 1 and trying to survive 58 laps of it is a task within itself. So I was at the end of lap 1, I was pretty convinced I'd be DNFing, so happy with any 4 points.
I mean, I'd say probably it's a tough one to sort of analyse in terms of pace with an undamaged car for the majority of the Grand Prix there. But were you pleased in terms of sort of how you handled things over the course of the race?
Yeah, somewhat. My time management was fantastic. It's hard to see where I actually shape up, because I don't think this was where I probably truly was on pace. So I think I'm a lot closer to the front than maybe this result shows.
Well, I mean, 28 points for Williams as of right now, with Che in second, you 5th. That means that you guys, to my mind, lead the Constructors' Championship by just 1 point over Haas and by 3 points over Mercedes. So you guys end the first race week on top, pending the Stewart report. So that must be a good sign of things going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with that. That would be fantastic if we can have a lead at the beginning. That'd be really, really good, and hopefully we can continue that on. I feel like we are. I think we've been tipped to have the strongest team, but I'd probably say after today's race, I think we probably do. So yeah, happy with it.
Definitely one of the challenging forces over the course of season 20, let's hope. So good job, Pope, on finishing the race with the floor damage, and obviously taking on P5. We'll come now to the driver who finished just under 2 seconds behind you, but 10th Cannon, P6 in the first round. I'm going to ask you this. Where did that come from?
I don't know. I feel like I've had like 100 monsters I can run through a brick wall. This is the weirdest, the scariest, and maybe one of my best races. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm just going to ask this. I will ask, how many in terms of warnings, how close were you to a penalty? I'll ask you that.
I had 2. One of them, I had 2, and one of them I did slow down because it was only a minor off, so I decided to slow down and give up the 5/10, because I think it's 5/10 you need to give up. So I did that in case I got a 3rd, and I thought I'll just keep that in the back pocket, and I didn't even need it, so I lost 5/10 for nothing. But I still finished 6th anyway. I'm not complaining.
I mean, after the sort of difficulties you endured over the course of last season, obviously readjusting to the league, is this sort of like a welcome return to form for you?
Yes, I couldn't be happier with how this went. I couldn't have asked for more. I wasn't sure if I was going to get 5th because I didn't know who had penalties ahead of me, but to get any points at all from starting 17th is more than enough for me, and to finish 6th is just I'm so happy with how today went. I felt so quick.
Well, to mind that should put you guys at VCarb in 4th place in the constructors.
Wow.
Just due to the sheer variance of teams that scored points today. I think that puts you guys in front of Sauber, Red Bull, and Alpine, other 3 teams that scored points behind you. Is that a good start for you guys? You and JV?
Oh, that's a really good start. I wasn't quite sure how race was going to go, to be honest, because I've seen the grid and we have some really good drivers now. So I thought I was going to get maybe 12th at most. I don't know if this is going to be something I can keep up regularly, but I mean, if I can do it once, I can do it again, right? I know we had some chaos and I know it was 100% race, but like, I think I've got some pace on me now.
And looking forward to next week, China. With me, do you feel we could go for at least another points paying finish? Do you think is the confidence there for that?
Nope. I hate China, the track, not the country. So I'm gonna just do what I can. If I get points, I get points. Then, and if I don't, then so be it. It's not one of my best tracks, but I wasn't here for this one last season. I don't think I started racing till like round 7 or 8. So it'll be my first laps around the track. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to it up in the comments box soon. You guys can join us for that race on the 8th of December. Same time, same place here on the Zach RC channel. That'll do it then in terms of coverage for our first race of the new season. Ben, can you give me any final thoughts on that race as a whole? Or are we spent for the evening now, do you think?
No, I'm just wow. Stars mean to continue, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. I wouldn't say no to that at all. Thank you guys so much for watching this first race of the season. I hope you did enjoy it as much as we did. If you did, obviously make sure to subscribe for more future audio content. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you guys next Monday for the second race of the season in China. Goodbye.